Chapter 3773. On the main peak, in a huge open space outside the reception hall, Li Yuanfeng had his hands behind his back as he looked at the energy ripples that surrounded the sect. Li Yuanfeng sneered as he thought to himself, "Zhuowen, an arrogant person like you won't be able to escape from the Ascension sect. With Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyan taking action, do you think you can survive?" Li Yuanfeng recalled how Zhuowen contradicted him time and time again. Endless anger rose in his heart as he wished he could kill Zhuowen with his own hands. However, Zhuowen was once a disciple of the Ascension sect. As the sect master, if he were to kill Zhuowen, it would make many disciples of the Ascension sect tremble in fear. The group of people following behind Li Yuanfeng all had complicated expressions. There were all kinds of emotions such as pity, disdain, sneers, and contempt. "I've really underestimated this guy. I didn't expect Zhuowen to be so strong." Fan Jiaoyong was at the back. His gaze was the most complicated. This outer sect disciple called Zhuowen had given him too many surprises. He also felt that it was a pity. Zhuowen was so young, but he had such powerful strength. His talent was definitely not ordinary. If he could continue to stay in the Ascension sect, it would definitely be a blessing for the Ascension sect. Unfortunately, that Zhuowen was truly too conspicuous and actually completely offended the sect master, Li Yuanfeng. "Look, Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyan have returned." An elder in the crowd pointed at the two figures in the distance. Everyone looked over and saw Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyan rushing over. The corners of Li Yuanfeng's mouth curled up slightly. He knew that the return of these two meant that Zhuowen was dead for sure. However, he didn't see the gloomy expressions on Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyan's faces. Elder Yuqi and Lu Miaozhen's faces were pale as they smiled bitterly. After Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyan returned to the main peak, they said to Li Yuanfeng, "Sect Master Li, release the mountain guarding formation now. We'll take our leave." After saying that, the two of them immediately packed up and prepared to leave. Li Yuanfeng revealed a look of surprise. Why did these two people seem to be in such a hurry? It was as if they were being urged by something. However, Li Yuanfeng couldn't say anything. He had originally activated the protective mountain array to trap Zhuowen. Since the two of them had dealt with Zhuowen, there was naturally no need for him to continue activating the mountain guarding grand array. At this moment, two more figures rushed over and landed on the main peak. Li Yuanfeng saw Zhuowen at a glance. He couldn't help but widen his eyes and blurt out, "Zhuowen, you bastard didn't die?" After these words were spoken, the face of the black-robed old man standing beside Zhuowen immediately darkened. He coldly said, "Li Yuanfeng, you are becoming more and more outrageous. You actually call my disciple a bastard in front of me. How did you become the head of the Ascension School?" Only then did Li Yuanfeng notice the black-robed old man beside Zhuowen. His expression immediately changed as he froze on the spot. He didn't know why the black-robed old man had come to the main peak and was even protecting Zhuowen. "Why aren't you saying anything? This old man's words no longer have any effect on you, right?" The black-robed old man slowly took a step forward. A terrifying pressure poured out like a tide. In the main peak, everyone felt as if they were suffocating. They knelt on the ground, unable to move. Only Li Yuanfeng, Nangong Haoge, Elder Ingyan, and a few other powerful experts could barely stand. However, everyone could see that they were faintly trembling as they stood. They were horrified. They knew that the black-robed old man in front of them was definitely stronger than Li Yuanfeng and the other two. He was at least a 5 elements transformation expert. He is the guardian of the sinkhole. The head of the sect told us last time that this person is the ancestor of our Ascension School. The elder kneeling on the ground secretly transmitted his voice. His heart was filled with bitterness. Plop! Li Yuanfeng knelt on the ground. His body trembled as he said, "Ancestor, Yuanfeng didn't know that you had come out. Yuanfeng knows his mistake." This was an existence on the level of the ancestor of the Ascension School. He had supreme power and authority. Li Yuanfeng knew that with just a word from the black-robed old man, His position as the head of the sect could be changed. You know your mistake? Then do you know what mistake you have made? The black-robed old man stood on the spot, but his pressure grew stronger. Nangong Hauga and Elder Ingyin secretly complained in their hearts. They knelt on one knee on the ground. The black-robed old man exerted the most terrifying pressure on them. Even though their cultivation was good, it was still difficult for them to withstand it. Li Yuanfeng's eyes flickered. He said in a low voice, "The protective mountain array is a great array that can only be activated when the sect is in a life-and-death situation. Yet, Yuanfeng activated it casually. This is against the rules of the sect. Ancestor, please punish me." The black-robed old man continued coldly. What else? Li Yuanfeng glanced at Zhuowen, who was beside the black-robed old man. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "This Zhuowen is a traitor of our Ascension School. I should be the one to capture him. I actually handed him over to the Nangong and Murong families. This is Yuanfeng's dereliction of duty." Bang! As soon as Li Yuanfeng finished speaking, the black-robed old man waved his sleeve. Li Yuanfeng groaned and fell to the ground. There was a clear red palm print on his right cheek. Ancestor! Li Yuanfeng was stunned. He had already admitted his mistake. Why did the ancestor still hit him? Didn't I just say it? You insulted my disciple, and now you dare to slander him. I want to ask you, what are you trying to do? The black-robed old man said coldly. Zhuowen's eyes flickered. He cursed in his heart. When did he become this old man's disciple? Disciple? Is he yours, ancestor? Li Yuanfeng finally realized that something was wrong. He glanced at Zhuowen, who was standing beside the black-robed old man, and his eyes widened. After the shock in everyone's heart, they felt much more relieved. No wonder this Zhuowen's cultivation was not high, but his strength was ridiculously strong. It turned out that he was taught by a powerhouse at the ancestor level. That's right. You keep saying that he's a bastard, that he's a traitor. Isn't that looking down on me? Li Yuanfeng, after becoming the sect master, your cultivation did not improve much, but your guts are getting bigger and bigger. The black-robed old man said coldly. Li Yuanfeng was so scared that his body trembled. He hurriedly lay on the ground and looked in Zhuowen's direction. He said in a low voice, "Junior brother Zhuo, I was blind. I didn't recognize that you were the ancestor's disciple. I hope junior brother can be magnanimous and forgive me this time." Li Yuanfeng changed his words very quickly. Since Zhuowen was the black-robed old man's disciple, they were naturally of the same generation. Therefore, he called him junior brother. Zhuowen, Li Yuanfeng has already apologized. Now it's up to you to deal with him. The black-robed old man looked at Zhuowen with a smile. Since Sect Master Li has already admitted his mistake, I won't be aggressive. However, I'll give Sect Master Li a suggestion. The Ascension Sect is a whole. As the Sect Master of the Ascension Sect, you should put the sect's disciples first. You shouldn't treat the sect's disciples as goods and casually trade them. Zhuowen said calmly. Li Yuanfeng hurriedly nodded in agreement. With the black-robed old man supporting Zhuowen, how would he dare to refute? Senior, your sect's affairs have been settled. It has nothing to do with us. You can let us leave now. Chapter 3774. Before the black-robed elder could speak, Zhuowen spoke first. Is the Ascension Sect a place where you can come and go as you please? You came to the Ascension Sect and asked for your people aggressively. Now that you know you can't get your way, you want to leave safely? How can there be such a good thing in this world? Zhuowen said calmly. Nangong Hauga was furious and said, "Little bastard, what nonsense are you talking about? Nangong Wuji of the Nangong family was crippled by you. How dare you say that we are safe and sound? Are you blind? Nangong Wuji deserved it. If he didn't provoke me, he wouldn't be in such a miserable state." Zhuowen said calmly. Elder Ingyin was extremely calm. He looked at the black-robed elder. He knew that the black-robed elder was the one in charge. Zhuowen couldn't make the decision. Senior, we're the Nangong family and the Murong family after all. Our previous actions were indeed inappropriate, but it's not to the extent that you need to keep us here. Elder Ingyin said in a deep voice. The black-robed elder remained silent. Zhuowen continued. Don't worry, this senior won't interfere anymore. Didn't you come to the Ascension sect for me? Are you willing to enter the life and death ring of the Ascension sect? Once you enter the life and death ring, it doesn't matter if you live or die. The loser will die without regrets. To everyone's surprise, Zhuowen proposed a life and death ring. Li Yuanfeng and the other elders were stunned. How arrogant was this guy? Although he had defeated Nangong Wuji was still a genius. Although he defeated Nangong Wuji, Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyin weren't Nangong Wuji. Both of them were much stronger. How could this guy be a match for them? Wasn't he courting death? The black-robed elder frowned slightly. He wanted to stop them, but Zhuowen transmitted a message to him, telling him not to interfere and that he could handle everything. Although the black-robed elder was still worried, he couldn't say anything since it was Zhuowen's decision. This guy is crazy. Fan Jiaoyong covered his forehead. He thought that Zhuowen was courting death. Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyin were startled at first, then they were overjoyed. They had indeed come for Zhuowen. They wished they could kill Zhuowen and seize the astral weapon fragments on him. Originally, because of the appearance of the black-robed old man, they thought that they had no chance. But now, this Zhuowen actually took the initiative to propose a death match. Wasn't this a great opportunity? That's what you said. Nangong Haoge's eyes were filled with resentment as he spoke coldly. Of course. However, the life and death duel is a one-on-one battle. If you want to challenge me, then take turns. After saying that, Zhuowen took a step forward and swept towards the absolute sky cliff. Very quickly, he ascended to the huge life and death arena at the top of Absolute Heaven Cliff. Look, there's another person on the life and death ring. After Zhuowen ascended the life and death arena, he immediately attracted the attention of the disciples who were originally training near Tianju Cliff. Wasn't that Zhuan Yinxue? Back then, he had killed Ni Ju and Ni Kai on the life and death arena. Now that he's gone up again, could it be that he's going to challenge one of the top 10 inner disciples again? It's possible. This guy's strength is so strong, yet he's still wearing the outer disciple's uniform. Logically speaking, with his strength, he should have long been an inner disciple. The disciples near Tianju Cliff discussed animatedly. They looked at the figures on the life and death arena with eyes full of doubts. They were all guessing who Zhuowen's opponent was. Look, isn't that the sect master? There's also the great elder and many other elders. What's going on? The upper echelons of the sect seem to have all come. Could it be that they're here to watch the death match? The surroundings of Tianju Cliff quickly quieted down. Many disciples saw Li Yuanfeng and the others who followed closely behind, and all of them were boiling with excitement. Old Dog Nangong, Old Dog Ingyin, have the two of you finished discussing? Who's going first? Zhuowen took out a blood spear from the outside world and stabbed it into the ground. He looked down at Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyin below the life and death arena. His voice was like thunder, lingering above Tianju Cliff for a long time. At the same time, an extremely strong pressure was emitted from the blood spear, enveloping the entire Tianju Cliff. What a powerful divine artifact. Could it be a heaven-breaking rank 4 divine artifact? This level of divine artifact power is not something that an ordinary divine artifact can produce. The disciples were shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. It's actually a heaven-breaking rank 4 divine artifact. This kid's wealth is actually so rich. Li Yuanfeng revealed a contemplative expression. He looked deeply at Zhuowen. Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyin came together to ask for this kid. Now that he thought about it, there was indeed a huge problem. This kid probably had some other secrets on him, which was why the two families had mobilized so many people to ask for him. When Elder Ingyin saw the blood spear, the veins on his forehead bulged. This blood spear was the one that was snatched away by this kid after he was repelled by Zhuowen when he was besieging Zhuowen last time. Because at this moment, he was being condemned by the upper echelons of the Morong family and was in an extremely sorry state. Little bastard, this old man will come up and destroy you. There's no need for Brother Nangong to come up. Elder Ingyin stepped onto the life and death arena and landed on the other side of the arena. He coldly looked at Zhuowen. All the disciples of Heavenly Cliff were boiling with excitement. They looked at Zhuowen in disbelief. They had imagined that Zhuowen would challenge many people, but they never thought that it would be Elder Ingyin of the Murong family and Nangong Haoge of the Nangong family. These two people were famous experts in the Ji province. Their reputations spread far and wide, and they were also experts in the late stage of the Void God transformation realm. These experts were far stronger than the disciples. Even many of the sect's elders were no match for them. But this guy actually wanted to challenge these two people. Was this a joke? Then I'll destroy you first. Zhuowen coldly snorted and kicked the blood spear with his right foot. With a whooshing sound, blood spear was kicked into the air by Zhuowen. Then it spun rapidly and landed in Zhuowen's hand. Bang! The moment he caught hold of the blood spear, Zhuowen went all out. A terrifying pressure surged out like a tidal wave. He turned into a purple shadow and disappeared from the spot. So fast, most of the people in Heavenly Cliff were unable to see Zhuowen's figure clearly. They couldn't even see where Zhuowen was. This was because Zhuowen's movement technique was too fast. It was so fast that even their divine consciousness couldn't catch up. This was the true power of the merged Grand Mist movement technique. It was as fast as a swan. Elder Ingyin's face changed drastically. He quickly activated the Shatter Divine power in his body and formed a thick armor around his body. Although his cultivation was much stronger than Zhuowen's, his movement technique was far inferior. Even he could barely see Zhuowen's figure. Bang! 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 In the blink of an eye, several blood spear shadows appeared behind Elder Ingyin and slammed into his armor. The sound of metal clashing rang out. Elder Ingyin groaned, and his body staggered. He almost lost his footing. At the same time, even more blood spears appeared and shot over from all directions. Like a prison, they all landed on Elder Ingyin's body. Puchi! Elder Ingyin let out a muffled groan as the divine armor on his body shattered. Elder Ingyin was shocked. Zhuowen's speed was much faster than before. How could he not know that this guy was still hiding his strength when he was fighting Nangong Wuji? At this moment, Elder Ingyin no longer dared to hold back. He took out the rank 2 astral weapon fragment he brought from the Nangong family, the Ice Bracelet. Chapter 3775. This is the power of an astral weapon, and it's a rank 2 astral weapon. Li Yuanfeng's pupils shrank to the size of needles as he muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with fear and dread. A rank 2 astral weapon fragment. Even their Ascension sect didn't have such a treasure, but Elder Ingyin actually took it out to deal with Zhuowen. Wasn't this too much of a waste? Many disciples of the Ascension sect were also shocked. Although they didn't recognize that it was a rank 2 astral weapon fragment, they could see that the Ice Bracelet Elder Ingyin suddenly took out was extremely terrifying. This guy, the black-robed old man's expression changed greatly. He took a step forward and planned to jump onto the life and death platform above the Heavenly Cliff. However, a terrifying gale swept over and blocked the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man looked at Nangong Haoge with a gloomy expression and said coldly, "Nangong Haoge, are you courting death? You actually dare to block me." Nangong Haoge had goosebumps all over his body. The pressure the black-robed old man gave him was too great. However, he still said unhurriedly, "Senior, your Ascension sect's life and death platform has a clear rule, right? Once you enter the life and death platform, it's up to fate. Senior, if you interfere with the matters on the life and death platform, wouldn't you be breaking the rules? Senior, although you're powerful and I admire you very much, I'm afraid it's a little inappropriate for you to take the lead and break the rules like this, right?" The black-robed old man stared at Nangong Haoge with undisguised killing intent in his eyes. Nangong Haoge wasn't wrong, but the black-robed old man didn't care so much. Zhuowen was the junior he admired the most and was also the most suitable candidate to complete his mission in the Wukong region. He absolutely wouldn't allow Zhuowen to fall on the life and death platform. Crack, crack, crack. At this moment, countless cracks began to appear on the life and death platform's ice domain that could freeze time and space. A mysterious purple light surged out and enveloped the heavenly cliff. In the end, the ice domain collapsed, and Elder Ingyan grunted and appeared on one side of the life and death platform. On the other hand, Zhuowen was safe and sound and stood on the other side of the life and death platform. On his shoulder was a toad, flickering with purple light. This Zhuowen's body also has a rank 2 astral weapon fragment. Li Yuanfeng was stunned. He looked at the purple toad on Zhuowen's shoulder in disbelief. The aura emitted by the purple toad was definitely not inferior to the ice bracelet that Elder Ingyan had taken out. No wonder the Murong clan and the Nangong clan joined forces to demand Zhuowen from the Ascension sect. They even brought along a rank 2 astral weapon fragment at all costs. It turns out that this Zhuowen also has a rank 2 astral weapon. They mustered such a large force to come here, all for the sake of obtaining this stage 2 star weapon. Li Yuanfeng revealed a look of understanding as he thought to himself. He looked coldly at Zhuowen and thought bitterly in his heart. This kid is really selfish. Hiding such a secret on him, he didn't contribute it to the sect, but kept it for himself. This kid doesn't deserve to be a disciple of the Ascension sect. However, he didn't think that he had already expelled Zhuowen from the sect and didn't give any favors to Zhuowen. Yet, he actually wanted Zhuowen to contribute a rank 2 astral weapon fragment to the sect. He also didn't think that since this item was Zhuowen's secret, what obligation did he have to give this treasure to the sect? The black-robed elder's eyes revealed a bright light. He slowly withdrew his aura and thought to himself, this kid really gave me a lot of surprises. He actually hid his strength and has a rank 2 astral weapon. The black-robed elder's face was filled with gratification. He wasn't like Li Yuanfeng and the other higher-ups of the Ascension sect, whose faces were filled with greed. Finally taking out a rank 2 astral weapon? Elder Ingyan stood at the edge of the life and death platform and silently looked at Zhuowen and the purple toad on his shoulder. His eyes revealed a look of resentment. Back then, he had suffered a great loss because of the purple toad. Zhuowen stood in place and looked at the black-robed elder with a serious gaze. He finally knew why Elder Ingyan was so confident to fight with him again on the life and death platform after his previous defeat. It turned out that this old guy had also brought a rank 2 astral weapon. At the same time, Zhuowen glanced at Nangong Haoge, who was below the life and death platform. Since this person was the representative of the Nangong family, he probably also brought a rank 2 astral weapon. If he could obtain the rank 2 astral weapons from these two people, then his purple toad would be able to fuse with them again and advance to become a rank 3 astral weapon. Zhuowen's gaze was burning. He waved his right hand, and the purple toad on his shoulder let out a low cry. It turned into an illusory purple shadow and quickly scuttled toward Elder Ingyan. Elder Ingyan sneered and took off the ice bracelet in his hand and threw it out. The intense cold air seemed to have solidified and exploded, fiercely colliding with the purple toad. Instantly, a terrifying energy ripple spread out from the life and death platform. It was the aftermath of the collision between the two astral weapons. And between the two astral weapons, there was a buffer zone. Zhuowen and Elder Ingyan were standing there unscathed. Elder Ingyan, when you didn't use the power of the astral weapon fragment, you couldn't keep up with my speed. You still can't keep up with me now. You won't be my opponent. Zhuowen said calmly. Elder Ingyan's gaze was malevolent. He laughed and took out a red potion. He opened the bottle and poured it into his mouth. Instantly, Elder Ingyan's aura became unfathomable and vast. After consuming the potion, his aura had actually increased by 1-fold. He had entered the pinnacle of the Void God transformation realm. This is the Energy Awakening Potion. Consuming this potion can stimulate all the potential in my body for a short period of time. My current strength is not inferior to an ordinary pinnacle of the void god transformation realm. Zhuowen, you little bastard. You're dead. I will completely trample you under my feet. After humiliating you, I will kill you. Elder Ing Yan's expression became more and more malevolent. He then stomped his right foot, and the entire life and death platform trembled. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Zhuowen. My speed has increased by a lot. Zhuowen's eyes narrowed. The corner of his mouth revealed a strange smile. Boom! Elder Ing Yan's fist was like a rainbow. It instantly pierced through Zhuowen's figure. However, he soon realized that what he had pierced through was only an afterimage. Then, he felt a terrifying gust of wind behind him that smashed into his face. Poochie! Elder Ing Yan spat out a mouthful of blood. Only then did he realize that Zhuowen had unknowingly appeared behind him and kicked him in the face. Your speed, how did it increase again? Elder Ing Yan held his swollen face and retreated to the edge of the life and death platform. He looked at Zhuowen in disbelief. After consuming the energy awakening potion, his aura had increased tremendously. His speed had also increased by a lot. According to his estimation, his speed was even faster than Zhuowen's. However, he did not expect that Zhuowen's speed would increase. He was so fast that he could only catch a glimpse of his afterimage. It's not that my speed has increased. It's just that when I fought with you for the first time on the life and death platform, I did not use my full strength. Zhuowen's cold voice came from all around the life and death platform. It was as if there were many Zhuowen talking in all directions. Chapter 3776. Bang, bang, bang. Zhuowen's speed was too fast. He was like a purple ghost. Every time he flashed, he would unleash a terrifying divine ability. Moreover, the divine ability was different every time, and its power was getting stronger. Elder Ing Yan became a live target. He could only passively take Zhuowen's divine abilities, and he could only passively defend against all the divine abilities that landed on Zhuowen's body. His injuries were getting worse and worse, and his consciousness was getting more and more blurry. The fear in his heart was magnified infinitely at this moment. Old Dog Ing Yan, this blood spear belongs to your Murong family. I'll return it to you now. You better hold on tight. Zhuowen stood in the air and looked down at Elder Ing Yan, who was staggering and gradually losing consciousness. He held the blood spear in his right hand and threw out fiercely. Whoosh! The blood spear pierced through the air and let out a series of explosive sounds. The entire space seemed to have exploded because of it, and it looked extremely terrifying and frightening. Elder Ing Yan forced himself to raise his head. His hair was completely blown away by the wind from the blood spear, and his gaze turned from confusion to fear. No, Zhuowen, I was wrong. Spare my life, spare me. Elder Ing Yan used the last of his strength to plead. However, before he could finish his words, the blood spear had already pierced through his chest and nailed him to the life and death ring. Rip! The blood spear was too powerful. The moment it hit the center of the life and death ring, an invisible shockwave spread out in all directions. Countless cracks appeared on the life and death ring, and it was a scene of devastation. Puffed! Elder Ing Yan spat out a mouthful of blood and lay on the ruins of the life and death ring. His chest had been completely pierced through by the blood spear, and he was on the verge of death. Bang! The ice bracelet, which was in a constant confrontation with the purple toad, lost its energy supply due to Elder Ing Yan's heavy injuries and was struck to the ground by the purple toad. The terrifying energy ripples around the life and death ring disappeared, and the surrounding crowd could finally see everything that was happening on the life and death ring. When they saw that Elder Ing Yan had a blood spear stuck in his chest and was nailed to the ground, the surroundings quieted down. Moreover, this silence lasted for a very long time. As for Zhuowen, he casually picked up the ice bracelet that had fallen to the ground. After imprisoning it, he unceremoniously put it into his macro world. After that, Zhuowen walked to Elder Ing Yan's side, grabbed the blood spear with his right hand, and pulled it out. Elder Ing Yan, who was on the verge of death, widened his eyes, and screamed in pain. The blood spear was a rank 4 heaven-piercing divine artifact. Even Eldering Yin would find it hard to withstand its power. Eldering Yin, you came to the Ascension sect without knowing what's right and wrong. Moreover, you were arrogant and insulted the Ascension sect's disciples. You're using your strength to bully the weak. You deserve to be killed. Zhuowen raised the blood spear, and Elder Ing Yin hung on it. Zhuowen's right hand shook, and the blood spear exploded with a terrifying bloodlight. Then, Elder Ing Yin screamed in pain, and his entire body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. In this cloud of blood mist, a divine spirit was escaping at an extremely fast speed towards the distance. Zhuowen flicked his finger, and a divine spirit sword essence shot out and stood in the middle of the divine spirit. Ah, Zhuowen, you killed me. The Morong family will not let you go. You're dead. You're dead. Elder Ing Yin let out a final howl. In the sky above Tianju Cliff, his divine spirit was destroyed, and he could not be more dead. You came to kill me so brazenly. If I don't kill you, who will I kill? Zhuowen's voice was calm. Although it was not loud, it resounded in the sky above Tianju Cliff, and everyone could hear it clearly. Most of the disciples were shocked, and their eyes were filled with fear. Li Yuanfeng and the other upper echelons of the Ascension sect were dumbfounded. Elder Ing Yin was a late Void God Transformation Realm expert, and he had a rank 2 astral weapon fragment. His overall strength was stronger than Li Yuanfeng, but he died in the hands of Zhuowen. The black-robed old man's eyes were blazing. Zhuowen was really surprising him more and more. He even defeated Elder Ing Yin. This person's talent and strength had exceeded his expectations. Think about it. It was hard to find a late Void God Transformation Realm expert who could defeat a late Void God Transformation Realm expert when he was in the heaven-trampling transformation realm. Only a truly big place like the main region would have such a genius. Nangong Haoge, who was closest to the life and death ring, was stunned. However, he reacted quickly and quietly retreated. Elder Ing Yan's strength was about the same as his, and he also had a rank 2 astral weapon fragment. Since he died in the hands of this kid, he was afraid that he would not be a match for this kid. Old dog Nangong, are you afraid? Zhuowen stood on the ruins of the life and death ring, and his gaze suddenly fell on Nangong Haoge. His indifferent voice filled the entire heavenly precipice cliff. Instantly, everyone on the heavenly precipice cliff gathered their gazes on Nangong Haoge. What nonsense are you talking about? How am I afraid? Nangong Haoge's gaze was gloomy as he said coldly, if you're not afraid, then why are you retreating? Zhuowen mocked. That's because the Nangong family had some urgent matters, and the family head urgently summoned me back. I plan to go back to deal with important matters. I'll take my leave now. After Nangong Haoge finished speaking, he walked down the heavenly precipice cliff. However, Zhuowen blocked in front of Nangong Haoge. What do you want? Nangong Haoge looked at Zhuowen, who was blocking in front of him, with an unfriendly expression. Get on the life and death ring. Didn't you say before that you wanted to kill me? I'll give you the chance to do so now. Get on the life and death ring. Zhuowen said coldly. I said before that the Nangong family suddenly had an important matter, and I have to leave. As for the matter of the challenge, I'll postpone it for today. I'll have a showdown with you in the future. After Nangong Haoge finished speaking, he executed his movement technique and quickly rushed in another direction. The pressure that Zhuowen gave him was too great. He could no longer remain calm. Right now, he only wanted to get away from Zhuowen as soon as possible. Coward who gives up before fighting. Today, you have to fight even if you don't want to. Zhuowen sneered. He took a step forward, and his ghostly figure disappeared. In the blink of an eye, he appeared right above Nangong Haoge and smashed down with a whip kick. Crack! Nangong Haoge's spine emitted a crisp cracking sound. Then, Nangong Haoge fell to the ground in a sorry state, smashing out a huge, deep pit. You're courting death. Nangong Haoge was furious. He took out a golden rod and suddenly threw it at Zhuowen. This golden rod was not long, only about a foot long. There were many densely packed patterns on the surface, looking very strange. The moment the golden rod landed in front of Zhuan, countless rod shadows instantly swept out, forming a powerful golden domain. This domain was filled with densely packed golden rod shadows. Chapter 3777. Looks like this is Nangong Haoge's rank 2 astral weapon fragment. In the endless golden rod shadow domain, Zhuan looked around at the countless rod shadows that were surging towards him. He immediately knew that this was a rank 2 astral weapon. Zhuan took out the purple toad to block the golden rod shadow's bombardment. Then he saw an opportunity and used the purple toad's power to blast a hole at the edge of the domain. Zhuan took a step forward and chased after Nangong Haoge. The golden rod retracted its countless rod shadows and returned to its original form. It quickly smashed toward Zhuan's back. However, the purple toad, standing on Zhuan's shoulder, jumped up and fought with the golden rod, blocking it. Nangong Haoge, you're too slow. You can't escape from my grasp. Nangong Haoge, who was originally exhausted from running for his life, heard Zhuan's familiar and cold voice. He was so scared that his entire body trembled. In the instant that Nangong Haoge was absent-minded, Zhuan flicked his finger and pulled out the blood spear, mercilessly stabbing it into Nangong Haoge's back. Puchi! The powerful force of the blood spear caused the tip of the spear to pierce through Nangong Haoge's chest. Then, Nangong Haoge's body fell downwards, smashing into the ground. Bang, bang, bang. The huge force caused Nangong Haoge to fall to the ground, forming a terrifying pit. Then, Nangong Haoge lay on the ground, nailed to the ground by the blood spear. Zhuan, I'm from the Nangong family. You dare to kill me? Nangong Haoge struggled and barely raised his head. He looked at Zhuan's figure in horror as he approached. He tried to mobilize all the shattered divine power in his body, but the blood spear was a rank 4 heaven-breaking divine weapon. Its power was extraordinary, and Zhuan's powerful strength was on it. He couldn't break through the blood spear's bombardment at all. It could be said that he was completely powerless now. If Zhuan came to kill him, he wouldn't have any strength to resist. You've already become like this, and you're still threatening me? Where did your confidence and courage come from? Zhuan sneered. He came in front of Nangong Haoge and stepped on his head, causing his head to fall towards the ground. Ugh, Zhuan, I was wrong. Let me go, I can give you anything. Nangong Haoge said with difficulty. What can you give me in your current state? However, I can give you a quick death. Kill yourself in front of me, so that you can avoid some pain. Zhuan said coldly. Nangong Haoge was stunned. His entire body trembled violently. He stared fixedly at Zhuan and saw the latter's cold and heartless eyes. He knew that it was impossible for Zhuan to let him live. Nangong Haoge glared hatefully at Zhuan. With a loud roar, he pointed at the space between his eyebrows and blood splattered. Zhuan silently looked at Nangong Haoge, who had collapsed to the ground, without the slightest emotion in his eyes. Every injustice had its perpetrator, and every debt had its debtor. A debt of blood naturally had to be paid with blood. Since Nangong Haoge came to the Ascension sect to take his life, Zhuan would not have any pity or mercy for such an enemy. After Zhuan put away Nangong Haoge's spirit ring, he shot out a divine flame and disposed of Nangong Haoge's corpse. With Nangong Haoge's death, the originally imposing short golden rod also lost its energy supply. The golden light on its surface dissipated, and it became an ordinary short rod, falling to the ground. When Zhuan returned to the absolute sky cliff, the purple toad turned into a purple light and landed on his shoulder, staring blankly with its dead fish eyes. Zhuan's gaze fell on Li Yuanfeng. To be more precise, it was on the short golden rod in Li Yuanfeng's hand. Sect Master Li, hand over the short golden rod in your hand. Zhuan said expressionlessly. The instant the short golden rod fell to the ground, Li Yuanfeng pounced over and grabbed it. This was a rank 2 astral weapon. Their Ascension sect did not have an astral weapon fragment of this level. Li Yuanfeng knew that as long as he had this short golden rod, the Ascension Sect foundation and strength would soar. They would no longer be at the bottom of the 5 sections. When Zhuowen berated Li Yuanfeng came back to his senses and blurted out, "Zhuowen, you are a disciple of the Ascension Sect. This short goldenrod is a rank 2 astral weapon. Its power is extremely powerful and terrifying. It is not something you can control. Let me, the sect master, make the arrangements first." Zhuowen silently looked at Li Yuanfeng. He saw the flicker in Li Yuanfeng's eyes, as well as the greed that existed in the depths of his eyes. The temptation of a rank 2 astral weapon. Who could resist it? I will give you 3 seconds to hand over the short golden rod in your hand. Otherwise, your end will be the same as Nangong Haoge and Eldering Yin. Also, I have already been expelled from the sect by you. Now, I am no longer a disciple of your Ascension Sect. You took my spoils of war. That is equivalent to slapping my face and declaring war on me. Zhuowen's eyes were filled with killing intent. He coldly stared at Li Yuanfeng and walked toward the ladder step by step. Li Yuanfeng's face turned incomparably pale. Zhuowen's strength had already been proven just now. This fellow, together with the power of a rank 2 astral weapon, definitely possessed the strength of the 5 elements transformation realm. Even though Li Yuanfeng's cultivation was at the peak of the void god transformation realm, his heart was still beating like a drum. He was a little afraid of Zhuowen. The numerous disciples of the Ascension Sect at the Absolute Sky Cliff had all gone crazy. They all looked at Zhuowen in disbelief. The extent of this fellow's treason had far exceeded their expectations. This fellow actually dared to threaten Li Yuanfeng in front of him. Li Yuanfeng was the sect master of the Ascension Sect. He had accumulated prestige in the sect for a long time. In the hearts of many disciples, Li Yuanfeng had already been deified and was an invincible existence. Zhuowen's arrogant words had also provoked the displeasure and indignation of many disciples. The black-robed old man stood in between Zhuowen and Li Yuanfeng. Zhuowen raised his head and looked indifferently at the black-robed old man. He cupped his hands and said in a deep voice, "Senior, you have helped me many times. I'm also very grateful in my heart. However, if you are biased towards Li Yuanfeng now, I will not accept it. Ancestor, don't bother with this little bastard. This is a rank 2 astral weapon. As long as our Ascension Sect has a rank 2 astral weapon, our Ascension Sect will fear no one in the G Prefecture. Who can stop us? Moreover, this fellow still has 2 rank 2 astral weapons on him. Ancestor, quickly eliminate this fellow and seize the rank 2 astral weapons in his hands." Li Yuanfeng said in ecstasy. The black-robed old man was silent for a moment. Suddenly, he turned around and slapped Li Yuanfeng's face. Li Yuanfeng was stunned. He stared blankly at the black-robed old man. He really did not know why the black-robed old man would help an outsider to teach him a lesson. No matter how talented this fellow was, could he be more important than the Ascension Sect? Chapter 3778. Li Yuanfeng stood where he was and clenched his fists tightly. The veins on his forehead were visible, but in the end, he still sighed and handed the short golden rod to the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man held the short golden rod with a calm gaze. He turned around and handed it to Zhuowen. "Zhuowen is your real name, right? Although I don't know your background, since you've joined the Ascension Sect, you'll always be a disciple of the Ascension Sect. Li Yuanfeng's words don't count. Also, I don't care if you recognize me as your master, but I recognize you as my disciple. Don't worry, as long as I'm still in the Ascension Sect, you'll never be treated unfairly again. Of course, the decision is in your hands. If you don't want to stay in the Ascension Sect, I won't stop you and let you leave. This rank 2 astral weapon is your spoils of war. You defeated Nangong Haoge and Eldering Yin, so it should belong to you." After the black-robed old man finished speaking, he no longer looked at Zhuowen. Instead, he took a step forward and disappeared from where he was like an illusion. He left this place. Zhuowen silently looked at the short, golden rod in his hand and the black-robed old man's lonely figure as he left. A tender part of his heart was touched. No matter how the Ascension sect treated him, the black-robed old man had always helped him. Without a doubt, the old man really treated him as his disciple. Zhuowen bowed deeply in the direction where the black-robed old man disappeared and said solemnly, "I, Zhuowen, will never forget your kindness." After Nangong Haoge and Elder Ingyin died in battle, the Nangong family and Murong family's teams that went to the Ascension sect were not targeted by the Ascension sect. They returned to their respective families safely. In the Nangong family, the current head of the Nangong family, Nangong Haogan, was furious when he saw Nangong Wuji being carried back with his limbs crippled. When he learned that Nangong Haoge died in the Ascension sect, he almost fainted from anger. Nangong Haoge possessed a rank 2 astral weapon, yet he still died in the Ascension sect. Could it be that an ancestor-level expert from the Ascension sect has appeared to deal with Nangong Haoge? Nangong Haogan took a deep breath and calmed himself down before he asked in confusion. He knew that there were ancestor-level powerhouses in the Ascension sect, but such powerhouses would not come out easily. Nangong Haoge only went to the Ascension sect to ask for a person. The Ascension sect's ancestor would not come out to deal with Nangong Haoge because of this. It was that Zhuowen who did it. He killed Nangong Haoge. A guard of the Nangong family knelt on the ground and trembled as he spoke. Zhuowen, that guy. How much cultivation does he have? How can he be Haoge's opponent? Do you know the consequences of deceiving me? Nangong Haogan said coldly. Family head, I dare not lie to you. You can ask the others. We all saw it with our own eyes in the Ascension sect. That Zhuowen was definitely a monster. He was already at the heaven-trampling transformation realm. However, his combat strength was much stronger than Lord Haoge's. The guard trembled as he spoke. How did that guy's cultivation advance so quickly? No, even Nangong Haoge was killed by him. Nangong Haogan was shocked. Not only Lord Haoge, Elder Ingyin of the Murong family was also killed by that Zhuowen. The guard said. Nangong Haogan narrowed his eyes and said gloomily, You mean that Zhuowen obtained 2 rank 2 astral weapon fragments? Yes. Elder Ingyin's and Lord Haoge's rank 2 astral weapon fragments were obtained by that Zhuowen. He has a total of 3 rank 2 astral weapon fragments. The guard sighed. Nangong Haogan's eyes were gloomy. In their Nangong family, there was only 1 rank 2 astral weapon fragment. Now that it was stolen, the loss was too great. All of you leave first. Arrange for the best doctors and alchemists to treat Wuji. Nangong Haogan waved his hand and said. The guards nodded and brought Nangong Wuji out of Nangong Haogan's pavilion. After the guards left, Nangong Haogan took out 3 golden talismans and waved them out. The talismans floated in the air. Instantly, the 3 talismans emitted a blazing golden light. Then, 3 blurry human silhouettes appeared. It's time for the 4 great families to take action. The 4 great families must obtain the heaven pit of the Ascension sect. If we don't take action now, the other 5 sects will discover this secret. At that time, we will be in trouble. Nangong Haogan said coldly. Family head Nangong, family head Murong, I heard that you sent 2 batches of people to the Ascension sect. However, they returned empty-handed. Even your rank 2 astral weapons were left behind in the Ascension sect. I think you must have some personal grudges since you summoned us here in such a hurry. Beichen Yuan, the family head of the Beichen family, one of the 4 great families, said ambiguously. Family head Beichen, what do you mean by this? Our 2 families only went to test the Ascension sect strength. Moreover, we suffered heavy losses. We laid the foundation for the 4 great families to take action. Yet you are mocking us here. Murong Dingshun, the family head of the Murong family, said unhappily. Nangong Haogan's expression didn't look good either. He said in a low voice, This time, our 2 families were reckless. However, I think you should know that the time is ripe. We could take action now. If we delay any longer, all our efforts will be in vain. Dongfang Yin, the family head of the Dongfang family, finally opened his mouth. His voice was slightly shrill as he said, "I agree with family head Nangong's suggestion. The time is ripe. It's time for the four great families to take action. The five sects are clearly forces that rose up later. Now, they're actually suppressing the four great families. How can we tolerate this? After the secret of the heaven pit is revealed, we can eliminate the five sects of the Ji Prefecture's magistrate. At that time, the four great families will once again be the Ji Prefecture's magistrate." Beichen Yuan coldly snorted and didn't refute. He naturally knew that this was a good opportunity. However, he didn't get along well with Murong Dingshin. He was just looking for an excuse to mock Murong Dingshin. Family head Murong and family head Dongfang have both agreed. Family head Beichen, what about you? Nangong Haogan looked at Beichen Yuan's shadow and calmly asked. Hee. Of course, I have no problem with it. This time, after the four great families form an alliance, how will we distribute the spoils? Beichen Yuan laughed mischievously. As usual, we will distribute the spoils according to the amount of effort. The time will be set in 3 months. I hope that the three of you can prepare well in these 3 months. This time, we will succeed or die trying. Nangong Haogan said. The three phantoms nodded solemnly and then slowly disappeared. The three golden talismans floating in front of Nangong Haogan ignited with golden flames. In the end, they turned into golden ashes and fell to the ground. Chapter 3779. Early in the morning, Tang Homiao had just walked out of his room when he saw rows of people kneeling in front of Zhuan's room next door. This gave Tang Homiao a fright. When Tang Homiao saw the faces of the group of people kneeling, his heart almost stopped beating. This was because the group of people kneeling in front of Zhuan's room were all elders of the Ascension sect. What made Tang Homiao's eyes widen even more was that the figure kneeling in front of the group of people was actually the great elder of the Ascension sect. This was an important figure in the Ascension sect whose status and strength were second only to the sect leader, Li Yuanfeng. Yet, he was actually kneeling in front of Zhuan's door. This was a little too shocking. Moreover, why were these people kneeling in front of Zhuan's door? He still remembered that Li Yuanfeng and the others wanted to kill Zhuan yesterday. Moreover, they wanted to expel Zhuan from the Ascension sect. After Tang Homiao listened to Zhuan's suggestion yesterday, he obediently returned to the residence of the outer court disciples and did not leave again. Therefore, Tang Homiao really did not know the specific matters that happened in the Ascension sect yesterday. He only knew that there was a great battle in the Ascension sect yesterday. As the battle was too intense, he did not dare to go near the main peak of the Ascension sect. Creak! At this moment, Zhuan's room door slowly opened. Tang Homiao saw Zhuan slowly walking out of the room. On the other hand, Zhuan's expression was calm. He did not reveal the slightest change because of the situation outside the room. Did Li Yuanfeng ask all of you to come? Zhuan asked calmly. The great elder hurriedly smiled and said, "No, we came willingly. Junior brother Zhua is extremely talented and powerful. Moreover, you are the ancestor's disciple. You are a proud son of the heavens. Yesterday's matter was because we were too muddle-headed. Therefore, we caused so much trouble. Junior brother Zhua, if you are still angry in your heart, feel free to punish us. We won't say a word." The other elders who were kneeling behind the great elder echoed one after another. Zhuan silently looked at the first elder and the others in front of him. He knew that these people had come to apologize because they had received instructions from the black-robed old man. Zhuan knew his own limits. Even though he had displayed powerful combat strength yesterday, it wasn't enough for these people to come over and apologize personally. Only the black-robed old man, who is the patriarch of the Ascension sect, could intimidate these people and make them apologize to him. No need. Just keep your eyes open in the future. You can leave now, Zhuan said indifferently. The first elder and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They knew that Zhuan's words meant that he had forgiven him. They stood up, cupped their hands toward Zhuan, and left the place. Zhuan's guess was right. The first elder and the others had indeed been instructed by the black-robed old man to apologize. Given the black-robed old man's status as an ancestor, the first elder and the others really didn't dare to disobey his words. That was why this morning scene had occurred. Brother Zhuo, what's going on? The first elder and the others. Tang Hongmiao walked over. He was still in shock. Do you still remember the black-robed old man who came to save me yesterday? He's the patriarch of the Ascension sect. He took me in as his disciple. Zhuowen said calmly. Tang Hongmiao nodded in realization. He quickly realized that the first elder and the others had come because of the black-robed old man. At the same time, Tang Hongmiao was very gratified. He knew that Zhuowen had finally made a name for himself and obtained the recognition of the patriarch. In the future, his status in the Ascension sect would probably surpass the core disciples and be on the same level as these high-level elders. Brother Tang, I have some matters to attend to at the heavenly pit. I'll take my leave first. Zhuowen cupped his hands and left. Last night, he had been studying how to fuse the ice bracelet and the golden short rod into the purple toad. However, he didn't have any clue because the weapon spirit of a rank 2 astral weapon was much stronger than a rank 1 astral weapon spirit. Even if Zhuowen took out the supreme word stone, he was barely in a deadlock with the rank 2 astral weapon spirit. Zhuowen knew that this was mainly because the primordial stone was incomplete and its power was also incomplete. It was still a bit away from fusing with a rank 2 astral weapon, unless he could find more primordial stones. However, he didn't have any clues about the primordial stones, let alone where to find them. He went to the heavenly pit early in the morning because the black-robed old man summoned him. He said that he had something important to tell him. When he arrived at the stone room in the heavenly pit, the black-robed old man was still sitting in the center of the room. "You're here." The black-robed old man opened his eyes and pointed at a stone stool not far away, indicating for Zhuowen to sit down. "Senior, you call me here in such a hurry. Is there something important?" Zhuowen asked with a serious gaze. The black-robed old man's gaze was grave as he said in a deep voice, "Zhuowen, the Ascension sect is about to face a great calamity. From today onwards, you will secretly leave the Ascension sect and head to the Wukong State region. I know an elder from the Hong Martial sect in the Wukong State region. Bring this letter with you, and the elder will recommend you to enter the Hong Martial sect." Zhuowen was stunned and asked doubtfully, "Senior, the Ascension sect will face a great calamity. Are you saying that the Murong family and the Nangong family will mobilize their forces to attack the Ascension sect? With the Ascension sect foundation, they shouldn't be afraid of the two families joining forces." From Zhuowen's point of view, although the Nangong family and the Murong family were powerful, they had already lost their rank 2 astral weapons. Even if the two families had ancestor-level existences, it wouldn't be that easy to attack the Ascension sect. It's not as simple as you think. This time, it's not just the Nangong family and the Murong family that are invading. The Beichen family and the Dongfang family will also join forces to attack the Ascension sect. The black-robed old man sighed. Zhuowen's pupils shrank as he said in disbelief, "The 4 major families are joining forces to attack the Ascension sect? What's going on? Just because of the rank 2 astral weapon?" Zhuowen felt that something was amiss. Although the rank 2 astral weapon was precious, it wasn't enough for the 4 major families to join forces. This didn't make sense, unless there was an even greater secret within the Ascension sect. "It seems like you've already guessed it." The black-robed old man glanced at Zhuowen and continued, "There is indeed a great secret within the Ascension sect, and this great secret is enough to shake the Ji Prefecture's governor. And this secret is the heavenly pit." Zhuowen's eyes revealed a look of understanding. Actually, even if the black-robed old man didn't say it, he could have guessed it. The heavenly pit was indeed a very strange place for cultivation. It was able to withstand the heaven-breaking 5 transformations and below. This heavenly pit was definitely not a simple place. Just what kind of secret is hidden within this heavenly pit? Zhuowen frowned slightly as he vaguely guessed that the heavenly pit's secret wasn't just about cultivation. Instead, there was some other mysterious secret hidden within this heavenly pit. There's a key that can find the immemorial primordial stone. Moreover, this key isn't simple. It's said that it contains a portion of the immemorial primordial stone's aura. This aura can permanently increase a cultivator's perception and speed up their cultivation. Moreover, it can help them break through the 5 elements transformation, the bottleneck that leads to a higher realm. The black-robed old man said calmly, the key to the immemorial primordial stone. Chapter 3780. Looks like you've heard about the primordial stone. It's said that this strange stone was nurtured by the primordial tree and contains the origin of the chaotic starry sky. Legend has it that if someone is able to obtain the complete primordial stone, then that person would be able to dominate the primordial tree and stand above the 100 territories outside the realm. Moreover, that person would be acknowledged by the primordial star system and would never be able to enter that mysterious primordial star system. The black-robed elder's eyes were filled with passion when he mentioned the primordial star system. Zhuowen knew that the primordial star system was the center of the chaotic starry sky. To be more precise, it was the only sun in the chaotic starry sky. All living beings in the 100 territories yearned to enter the primordial star system. In their eyes, it was heaven and the ultimate destination of the chaotic starry sky. Senior, since the primordial stone has such a powerful effect, has anyone obtained the complete primordial stone before? Zhuowen asked curiously. No, it has never happened before. It's just a legend. I've never even seen the primordial stone. The black-robed elder shook his head. Zhuowen frowned and said softly, Senior, since the heavenly pit has the key to find the primordial stone, why doesn't the Ascension sect use it? The black-robed elder smiled bitterly. The key was obtained by the founder. After he obtained the key, he sealed it in the depths of the heavenly pit. He also set a rule that the seal of the key cannot be unlocked. The Ascension sect cannot use the key casually. Otherwise, it would be a betrayal of the founder. The 4 great families already know the secret of the Ascension sect. They will not let go of this opportunity. When the time comes, they will destroy the Ascension sect and seize the key. You have the best talent in the Ascension sect. You will definitely rise in the future. You are the most likely person to avenge the Ascension sect. Therefore, you must leave. Zhuowen shook his head. He returned the letter to the old man and said calmly, Senior, I, Zhuowen, am a person who knows how to repay kindness. You've helped me so much during this period of time. Now, it's time for me to repay you. I will stay in the Ascension sect and help the Ascension sect overcome this crisis. After saying that, Zhuowen directly entered the heavenly pit. The black-robed old man was a little angry, but there was nothing he could do. After this period of contact, he also knew Zhuowen's character. He knew that this child was very stubborn and that once he had decided on something, it would not be easy to change his mind. This old man must protect this child. Even if I die, I must protect him. The black-robed old man muttered softly. His voice was filled with exhaustion. What Zhuowen said to the black-robed old man was not boasting, but the truth. Perhaps a rank 2 astral soldier would not be able to deal with an ancestor-level expert, but what about a rank 3 astral soldier? Not even the entire G Prefecture's prefecture overseer could find a single astral weapon of this level. Zhuowen was confident that after he fused with the golden short rod and the ice bracelet, the purple toad would definitely evolve again and become a genuine 3rd rank astral soldier. Once he possessed a rank 3 astral soldier, he would be able to do as he pleased in the G province. Who would be able to oppose him? Zhuowen was also very curious about the key at the bottom of the sinkhole. If it was possible, he must obtain that key because it was related to whether he could find the rest of the primordial stones. The primordial technique that he had obtained from the Supreme Stone was incomplete. He could only cultivate up to the level of the heaven-crushing 6 transformations, the yin-yang transformation. If he could not find the rest of the primordial stones, his cultivation would stagnate, and he would forever be stuck at the yin-yang transformation. When Zhuan entered the first small pit of the 6th group, he suddenly had an idea and took out the supreme stone from his divine sense. The black-robed old man had said that the key sealed at the bottom of the sinkhole contained the aura of the primordial stone. He wanted to see if he could use the supreme stone to absorb this aura and increase the power of the supreme stone. It actually worked. Zhuan's eyes lit up. After the supreme stone appeared, waves of purple aura actually surged out from the depths of the small pit. They quickly drifted toward Zhuan and merged into the supreme stone. Moreover, more and more purple aura surged out. In just an instant, the surrounding small pits were shrouded in purple mist. It was misty and blurry, and it was impossible to see clearly with the naked eye. Zhuan sat down cross-legged and began to circulate the primordial technique. He began to madly absorb this purple aura. This purple aura was more suitable for the primordial technique than the chaotic energy. It was extremely beneficial to Zhuan's cultivation. After about an incense stick's worth of time, the purple mist in the small pit was completely absorbed by the supreme stone. Zhuan slowly opened his eyes, and an unblinking light shot out from the depths of his eyes. In this short period of time, not only had he completely consolidated the heaven-trampling transformation that he had just advanced to, his cultivation had also increased by another level. He had advanced from the heaven-trampling transformation stage to the heaven-trampling transformation stage mid-stage. Without a doubt, the energy of this purple aura was of a much higher level than the chaotic energy. Otherwise, Zhuan would not have been able to advance by a small stage in such a short period of time. Zhuan grabbed the high symbol stone that was floating in front of him. He discovered that the surface of the high symbol stone was emitting a rich purple light. This was completely different from the dim appearance from before. He could feel that the energy surging within the supreme stone was much denser than before. Now I could try to suppress the artifact spirit of the golden short stick again. Zhuan's eyes lit up. He had tried to fuse with a rank 2 astral weapon last night, but the artifact spirit was too powerful. The supreme stone was unable to suppress it. But now that the supreme stone's power had increased greatly, it would probably be much easier this time. When Zhuan's divine sense landed on the golden short stick, the scene before him changed, and he appeared in a golden bamboo forest. In the open space in the middle of the bamboo forest, an old ape held a short stick in his hand. He looked coldly at Zhuan and said, "Human, you actually dare to come here. Although you have that strange stone, its power is too weak. It's still too early for you to suppress me. If you want to use my power, then submit to me as soon as possible and satisfy all my requests. Perhaps I'll be merciful and lend you some of my power." Zhuan smiled. He didn't answer the old ape. Instead, he took out the supreme stone. Whoosh! The supreme stone shot out explosively, and the sound of it piercing through the air rang out. Wherever it passed, countless waves of air swept out, and purple light soared into the sky. Oomph! Is this the same old trick again? Yesterday, it was useless against you. Naturally, it's useless this time as well. Take this. The old ape sneered. He waved the short stick in his hand and smashed it toward the supreme stone. Countless golden stick shadows swept out like waves and blasted toward the supreme stone. Ka-ka-ka. Continuous sounds of something shattering were heard, and the old macaque was shocked to see that its rod shadows had all collapsed. The supreme stone broke through the countless stick shadows like a hot knife through butter and blasted into the old ape's chest. Splat! The old ape spat out a mouthful of blood and crashed heavily onto the ground. Then, a look of horror appeared in his eyes. This was because he discovered that the supreme stone was attached to his chest, and it was constantly absorbing his power, flesh, and soul. No! What kind of power is this? Let me go. I submit to you. I submit to you. Chapter 3781. Zhuowen silently watched as the golden rod and the purple toad fused together. Then he realized that the thing that was formed was still a toad. Moreover, it was a toad whose entire body was emitting a purple-gold color. A terrifying pressure burst out from the purple-gold toad, forming a terrifying pressure hurricane. It swept over and acted on Zhuowen, causing Zhuowen to groan and almost fall to the ground. Then, the purple-gold toad withdrew its pressure. With a leap, it landed on Zhuowen's shoulder. What a powerful pressure! But even so, the purple-gold toad still couldn't successfully advance to become a rank 3 astral soldier. Zhuowen was slightly disappointed. After the purple-gold toad fused with the golden rod, it shone with a new light and became a purple-gold toad with dazzling golden light. Its aura had indeed undergone an earth-shattering change, but he knew that the purple-gold toad was still a distance away from becoming a rank 2 astral soldier. Right now, it was merely at the peak of the rank 2 astral soldier. Zhuowen took out the ice bracelet. This was something he took from Eldering Yin. It was also a rank 2 astral soldier. He knew that after fusing with this ice bracelet, the purple-gold toad should be able to smoothly advance to a rank 3 astral soldier. However, he was somewhat unsure if he could suppress the purple-gold toad after a transformation. After all, the pressure released by the purple-gold toad was already somewhat unbearable for him. If it completely advanced to a rank 3 astral soldier, he was indeed somewhat worried. Forget it. Let's fuse first. Zhuowen recalled the black-robed old man's words, and his eyes revealed a ruthless expression. The black-robed old man had said that the 4 great clans would soon join forces to attack the Ascension School, and the Ascension School had also reached a moment of life and death. Once the Ascension School was defeated, they would definitely not let Zhuowen go. Therefore, if Zhuowen wanted to overcome this crisis, he could only advance the purple-gold toad to a rank 3 astral soldier. Otherwise, everything would be over. Thinking of this, Zhuowen's gaze revealed a determined expression. He placed his divine sense into the ice bracelet. The ice bracelet's artifact spirit world was a snowy region. Everywhere was engulfed by a world-destroying snowstorm. In the middle of the most powerful snowstorm, a snow leopard dashed over quickly. It was silent and as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, the snow leopard moved like lightning and appeared above Zhuowen. The terrifying snowstorm became even more terrifying. The snow leopard looked down at Zhuowen, its eyes filled with arrogance. Looks like it's another person. Human, you know the rules. Submit to me, and I will grant you power. As long as you are obedient in the future, you will have limitless power, Snow Leopard said calmly. However, Zhuowen smiled and said, a mere rank 2 astral soldier's artifact spirit dares to speak such big words in front of me. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? The snow leopard's face suddenly darkened. It roared, and the surrounding storm became even more terrifying and violent. Like ice blades, it slashed onto Zhuowen's body, as if it wanted to cut Zhuowen's entire body into pieces. Zhuowen was expressionless. He took out the supreme word stone. Magnificent purple ripples spread out, and the surrounding storm was actually torn into pieces by this mysterious purple energy. The snow leopard's expression changed. It looked at the supreme word stone in front of Zhuowen in fear. He could clearly sense the terrifyingly powerful energy fluctuations contained within the grand word stone. This fluctuation was too terrifying. It was enough to tear it into pieces. What is this thing? You. The snow leopard retreated several thousand meters and looked at Zhuowen with fear. I am here to subdue you. Submit. Zhuowen's voice was calm. With a wave of his sleeve, the supreme word stone turned into a purple shadow. It pierced through the void and blasted onto the snow leopard's body in the blink of an eye. Ever since the supreme word stone absorbed the primordial aura in the heavenly pit, its power had increased greatly. It could easily suppress the artifact spirit of a rank 2 astral soldier. This snow leopard was similar to the artifact spirit of the golden short stick. How could it be a match for the supreme word stone? Sure enough, The instant the supreme word stone blasted onto the snow leopard's body, a terrifying purple energy burst out. The snow leopard howled continuously, but in the end, it was absorbed by the supreme word stone. When Zhuan slowly opened his eyes, he saw that the ice bracelet and the purple gold toad had fused together again. To be more precise, the purple gold toad opened its mouth and swallowed the ice bracelet in one gulp. After the purple gold toad burped, it slowly closed its eyes and went into a deep sleep to digest the surging energy of the ice bracelet and the golden short stick. Zhuan, on the other hand, laughed bitterly and fell down beside the purple gold toad. The energy consumed by the supreme word stone to fuse with the astral soldier was all taken from Zhuan's body. Fusing with rank 2 astral soldiers at once consumed too much energy. It practically emptied all of Zhuan's energy. When Zhuan collapsed on the ground, the supreme word stone surged with a mysterious purple energy. It circled around the small pit he was in, forming a purple protective barrier. The black-robed elder seemed to have sensed something. He jumped out of the stone room and saw the small pit Zhuan was in. It was surrounded by a mysterious purple energy. What's going on? The black-robed elder rushed towards the small pit Zhuan was in and punched out. Then, with a muffled groan, he was actually repelled by the purple energy barrier and suffered a light injury. What kind of energy is this? It's so strange. The black-robed elder looked at the ball of purple energy surrounding the small pit in bewilderment, his eyes filled with shock. He was at the middle stage of the 5-element transformation stage and was considered a peak expert in the G province. Yet, he couldn't do anything to this purple energy and was even injured by it. The black-robed elder didn't continue to attack. He knew that this strange purple energy was definitely related to Zhuan. Perhaps it was protecting Zhuan from being disturbed. This kid, Zhuan, is really surprising me more and more. The black-robed elder was no fool. He already knew that Zhuan had secrets. However, unlike the Nangong and Murong families, he didn't plan to capture Zhuan, extract his secrets, and take them for himself. Instead, he sincerely regarded Zhuan as his disciple and treated him with sincerity. I hope this kid finishes his cultivation soon. We need to send him away from the G province before the 4 aristocratic families arrive. The black-robed elder looked worriedly at the small pit Zhuan was in. Although Zhuan refused to leave the Ascension sect alone, the black-robed elder was still worried. He planned to force Zhuan to leave by force. However, now that something like this had happened, the black-robed elder could only wait silently. Time flew by, and 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. The 4 aristocratic families of the G province had already prepared their cultivator army and gathered near the Nangong family, which was closest to the Ascension sect. The head of the Nangong family, Nangong Haogon, walked up to the high platform in front of the cultivator army. There were 3 other people standing on the high platform. They were the head of the Murong family, Murong Dingshun, the head of the Beichen family, Beichen Yuan, and the head of the Dongfang family, Dongfang Yan. Haha, this day has finally come. After destroying the Ascension sect and retrieving that thing, we'll have the power to destroy the other 5 sects. Beichen Yuan said excitedly. Chapter 3782. Murong Dingshun said, Patriarch Nangong, don't worry. We know the severity of the situation. We'll work together and won't cause any trouble. Beichen Yuan and Dongfang Yin nodded and promised Nangong Haogon that they would not cause any trouble. We have to end the battle quickly to take down Ascension sect. The main force is neither us nor the cultivator army. I'm sure all of you understand. Nangong Haogon said. Murong Dingshun, Dongfang Yin, and Beichen Yuan looked at each other and nodded. Patriarch Nangong, don't worry. We've already informed our patriarchs. The Murong family's patriarch will take action. The Dongfang family's patriarch will take action too. The Beichen family's patriarch will do the same. Nangong Haogon smiled happily. He took a deep breath and said, The same goes for the Nangong family. With the patriarchs taking action, Ascension Sect is doomed. The black-robed old man stood guard above the crater and looked at the small crater where Zhuowen was in. The purple energy was still circling around the crater. The purple energy was like smoke. It was moving around and forming a purple, semicircular shield. The black-robed old man frowned. He had been standing guard here for 3 months. However, Zhuowen did not come out during these 3 months. The purple shield was still there. During this period, the black-robed old man tried to break the purple shield and barge in. Unfortunately, it always ended in failure. Suddenly, the black-robed old man felt a powerful fluctuation of array Tao that spread throughout the entire Ascension Sect. Then, the black-robed old man lifted his head and saw a terrifying fluctuation of array Tao in the area where Ascension Sect was located. It was the Ascension Sect's protective mountain array. Li Yuanfeng opened the protective mountain array. The black-robed old man frowned and was unhappy. He did not know why Li Yuanfeng had opened a protective mountain array. Patriarch, this is bad. The Nangong family, Murong family, Beichen family, and Dongfang family have joined forces to attack Ascension Sect. Li Yuanfeng said anxiously as he led a group of Ascension Sect's upper echelons to the sinkhole. Although his voice was not loud, he knew that with the black-robed old man's strength, he would definitely be able to hear his words clearly. The 4 great clans are indeed attacking. The black-robed old man sighed softly. He took one last look at the small pit where Zhuowen was. Then, he jumped out of the pit and arrived in front of Li Yuanfeng and the others. When Li Yuanfeng and the others saw the black-robed old man come out, the panic on their faces eased a lot. It was as if they had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. Ancestor, you told us before that the 4 aristocratic families would join forces to attack the Ascension Sect. You should have a countermeasure, right? Li Yuanfeng asked urgently. The black-robed elder did not answer Li Yuanfeng directly. Instead, he asked, Yuanfeng, have you informed the other 4 sects about this matter? Li Yuanfeng smiled bitterly and said, I've already notified them, but other than Tianhai Temple's polite reply, the other 3 sects didn't reply to me at all. Damn it, we're all 5 sections. We should be united against a common enemy, but they actually ignored our Ascension Sect. The other elders were also extremely indignant and condemned the other 4 sections. The black-robed old man waved his hand and said, although we're all 5 sects, our Ascension Sect is only the weakest of the 5 sections. Moreover, we've always been isolated. It's pardonable that the other 4 sects didn't come to help us. Li Yuanfeng could not help but ask, Ancestor, what should we do now? We can only fight to the death. The black-robed old man said in a deep voice. When Li Yuanfeng and the others heard this, their faces turned pale. Some of them even began to tremble. When the protective mountain formation was activated, they saw the lineup of the 4 great clans' allied forces from afar. It was not something their Ascension Sect could contend against. This was a defeat without any suspense. If anyone is afraid, you can withdraw now and surrender to the 4 great clans' allied forces. Perhaps they'll let you live. The black-robed old man looked coldly at Li Yuanfeng and the others. His voice was cold and emotionless. No, I'm the sect leader of the Ascension Sect. When the Ascension Sect is in a life-and-death situation, I'll live and die with the Ascension Sect. Li Yuanfeng said loudly. Under the influence of Li Yuanfeng's words, the group of higher-ups who followed behind Li Yuanfeng revealed a determined look. They all expressed their willingness to live and die with the Ascension Sect. The black-robed old man nodded. There was a hint of relief in his eyes. Although Li Yuanfeng had disappointed him greatly in the matter of Zhuowen, he was very satisfied with Li Yuanfeng's performance in this life-and-death situation. The black-robed old man looked at the crater again. There, in the small crater where Zhuowen was, the purple shield was still there. Is the Ascension Sect's cultivator army ready? The black-robed old man turned to Li Yuanfeng and asked in a deep voice. Ancestor, we've been ready for a long time. We're just waiting for you. Li Yuanfeng said. Good. then follow me to the mountain gate." The black-robed old man led the group and hurried to the mountain gate of the Ascension sect. In the huge plaza behind the mountain gate, the Ascension sect's cultivator army was gathered in a grandiose manner. Outside the great formation of the mountain gate, the four great aristocratic families' allied forces were eyeing the enormous Ascension sect with hostility. In front of the allied army, there was a huge, strange beast floating in the air. There were four figures standing on a strange beast's head. These four figures were naturally the family leaders of the four great families. "Are you the ancestor of the Ascension sect, Ancestor Xiang?" When the black-robed old man led Li Yuanfeng and the others to the mountain gate, Nangon Haogon saw the black-robed old man and smiled. "The four of you are not qualified to talk to me. Ask your ancestor to come out." Zhu Xiang's face was gloomy. His voice was as loud as thunder. It resounded in the entire Ascension sect and spread out, scaring away many birds that passed by. Murong Dingshan smiled eerily and said, "You'll see them soon. There's no need to be so anxious. Cut the crap. Let's talk after we break the protective mountain array." Beichen Yuan snorted. The four of them formed hand seals, and the huge, strange beast under their feet let out an earth-shattering roar. Then the strange beast slammed into the mountain gate of the Ascension sect. Zhu Xiang looked on coldly. With his eyesight, he could see that the strange beast was only at the later stage of the empty god transformation realm. Even if the strange beast self-destructed, it would not be able to break the protective mountain array of the Ascension sect. However, to Zhu Xiang's surprise, the protective mountain array of the Ascension sect stopped when the strange beast touched the mountain gate. Then, the strange beast slammed into Zhu Xiang's body. Then, the strange beast's huge body started to swell rapidly. In the end, it exploded. The moment Zhu Xiang was engulfed by the explosion, he looked at Li Yuanfeng and the others behind him. He saw that Li Yuanfeng and the others were already far away from the mountain gate. They were looking at him as though he was a stranger. Chapter 3783. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded in front of the Ascension sect's mountain gate. Then, a blazing blood-colored flame surged into the sky, forming a blood-colored pillar that could pierce through the heavens. Li Yuanfeng brought a few elders with him and quickly rushed out of the mountain gate, arriving in front of Nangong Haogon, Murong Dingshan, and the other patriarchs. After the mutated beasts self-destructed, the four patriarchs left in time and took out a divine ship. The four of them were now standing on the deck. Li Yuanfeng greets the four patriarchs. Li Yuanfeng brought a few elders with him and landed on the deck of the divine ship. He knelt respectfully in front of the four patriarchs with an extremely respectful expression. Within the Ascension sect, the remaining elders and the cultivator army gathered in the square were all dumbfounded. They did not expect Li Yuanfeng to change sides at the most crucial moment. Sect leader Liu are simply shameless. Elder Yuqi stood in front of the Ascension sect's cultivator army. She pointed her jade-like finger at Li Yuanfeng and was so angry that her delicate body trembled. The other elders beside Elder Yuqi also began to criticize Li Yuanfeng one after another. Li Yuanfeng coldly glanced at Elder Yuqi and the others and said, "The winner takes all. The winner takes all. Everyone, you can see that the four great families have joined forces and the other four sects are not lending a helping hand. Our Ascension sect is isolated and helpless. If we resist to the end, only destruction awaits us. This is a battle without any suspense. Rather than die in vain, why don't we surrender to the four great families and beg for our lives?" Boom! Just as Li Yuanfeng finished speaking, the terrifying blood-colored explosion in front of the Ascension sect's mountain gate was gradually compressed by another energy. In the end, the energy of the explosion was annihilated. Zhu Xiang slowly walked out with a gloomy expression. He coldly looked at Li Yuanfeng, who was kneeling in front of the four patriarchs on the deck of the divine ship. Li Yuanfeng also felt Zhu Xiang's gaze that was filled with killing intent. His heart trembled, and he hurriedly avoided Zhu Xiang's gaze. Patriarch, Patriarch is fine. He's really powerful. The cultivator army that was originally at a loss was pleasantly surprised when they saw Zhu Xiang appear. This also slightly dispelled the haze in their hearts. Zhu Xiang slowly landed in front of the mountain gate. He stared at Li Yuanfeng and said with waning interest, "Li Yuanfeng, you disappoint me. From today onwards, you, Li Yuanfeng, are no longer the sovereign of the Ascension sect. You have been expelled from the Ascension sect." Li Yuanfeng's entire body trembled. He immediately stood up, turned around, and looked at Zhu Xiang in front of the mountain gate. He said in a deep voice, "Ancestor, the Ascension sect is about to be destroyed. What's the point of me being the sect master? I advise you to surrender as soon as possible. It's impossible for you to stop the combined forces of the four great families." Elder Yuqi couldn't help but shout coldly, "Li Yuanfeng, you're simply shameless. As the Ascension sect's sect master, you actually took the lead in surrendering to the enemy. You even advised the Patriarch to surrender. You don't even care about your dignity. Also, what right do you have to persuade the Ancestor?" Li Yuanfeng coldly glanced at Elder Yuqi and said to the four patriarchs, "For patriarchs, Elder Yuqi has the spiritual water root, and her cultivation is not bad. After we take down the Ascension sect, the four of you should try your best to capture her alive. She's the best cultivation cauldron and will be greatly beneficial to your cultivation." Murong Dingshan revealed an interested smile and stared at Elder Yuqi with a burning gaze. He kept sizing her up, causing Elder Yuqi to feel uncomfortable all over. The other three patriarchs also looked at Elder Yuqi with strange gazes. Oh, that's right. Elder Yuqi's disciple, Lu Miaozhen, also has the spiritual water root. This pair of master and disciple is of the highest quality. The four patriarchs can't miss this opportunity. Li Yuanfeng laughed mischievously. Li Yuanfeng, Elder Yuqi was so angry that her chest heaved violently. She actually didn't realize that Li Yuanfeng was actually so despicable and shameless. "Enough!" Zhu Xiang coldly shouted. He looked at Li Yuanfeng and said, "The Ascension sect actually produced such a despicable and shameless scum like you. This is simply the misfortune of the sect. Today, I will clean up the sect for the Ascension sect." With that, Zhu Xiang took a step forward and swept towards the deity ship in the blink of an eye like a shooting star. Li Yuanfeng's face changed slightly. He felt that Zhu Xiang's terrifying aura was mainly directed at him. This aura was too terrifying, and he couldn't help but kneel on the ground. The four patriarchs on the deck weren't any better. Their cultivation was the same as Li Yuanfeng's, and they were only at the peak of the empty god transformation realm. In front of Zhu Xiang, who was at the middle stage of the five elements transformation realm, they were like ants. Zhu Xiang could kill all of them with a flip of his hand. Boom, boom. However, just as Zhu Xiang was about to reach the deity's ship, four extremely terrifying attacks swept out from the back of the deity's ship and blasted towards Zhu Xiang. Zhu Xiang's face changed slightly. He felt an extremely strong sense of danger from the four attacks. Because of this, he had no choice but to stop moving forward and fly backwards. He formed a seal with his hands and used an even more terrifying force to block the four attacks in front of him. Bang! 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 For dull, sounds exploded in front of Zhu Xiang. Then, Zhu Xiang grunted and landed in the depths of the Sky Dragon Mountain range outside the Ascension sect. Patriarch! Many disciples and elders in the Ascension sect couldn't help but exclaim when they saw this scene. Swoosh! 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 When Zhu Xiang was blasted into the depths of the Sky Dragon Mountain range, the space behind the deity ship was indeed distorted. Then, four figures slowly walked out from the distorted space. The four of them looked like they were over 70 years old. Their hair was white, and their cheeks were dry. They looked like people who were about to step into a coffin and die. However, their auras were extremely powerful and far surpassed that of the empty god transformation realm cultivators. They are five elements transformation realm experts. Moreover, there are 4 of them. When the people in the Ascension sect felt the auras of the 4 old men, they thought of the 5 elements transformation realm experts. They were on the verge of despair. When the 4 5-element transformation realm experts joined forces, even if their patriarch was powerful enough, he wouldn't be a match for them. Patriarch! On the deck of the deity's ship, Nangong Haogan and the other patriarchs of the 4 great families knelt on the ground when they saw the 4 old men. Their faces were filled with respect. Li Yuan Feng and the others naturally knelt as well. They lowered their heads and didn't dare to look at the patriarchs of the 4 great families. At the same time, Li Yuan Feng felt fortunate that he had surrendered early. Otherwise, the Ascension sect wouldn't be able to withstand the joint forces of the 4 great families and the 4 patriarchs. It's the patriarchs of the 4 great families. They are indeed still here. When some of the older generation elders in the Ascension sect saw the appearance of the 4 old men, their faces changed. As for Elder Yuchi and some of the younger elders, they revealed puzzled expressions. Chapter 3784. Nangong Shinjan was an old man with a brandy nose. He was the one with the most overbearing aura among the 4. The other 3 had similar auras. Murong Haoran wore a scholar's robe and looked like an old scholar. Although Dongfang Tianhao had white hair and a white beard, he was burly and muscular. From afar, he looked like a small giant. Beichen Bingxin, on the other hand, looked like an ordinary old woman. There was nothing special about her. It was hard to imagine that such an ordinary old woman could be a 5-element transformation cultivator. Zhuxiang, you've only taken the attacks of the 4 of us. You're not dead yet. Stop pretending to be dead and come out. Nangong Shinjan said with a cold smile. He took out a wine gourd from his waist, opened the cork, and poured the wine into his mouth. Whoosh! As soon as Nangong Shinjan finished speaking, a figure rushed over from the depths of the Sky Dragon Mountain range and stopped not far from the divine ship. It was Zhuxiang. Zhuxiang's face was gloomy. He stared at Nangong Shinjan and the others and said in a low voice, "You 4 are still alive." And Nangong Shinjan, when you lost to me, you were only at the early stage of the 5-element transformation realm. Now you've improved. Zhuxiang was very surprised by Nangong Shinjan's cultivation progress. Nangong Shinjan's cultivation wasn't any weaker than his. He was also at the middle stage of the 5-element transformation realm. As for Murong Haoran, Beichen Bingxin, and Dongfang Tianhao, they were only at the early stage of the 5-element transformation realm. Zhuxiang didn't take them seriously. But if the 4 of them joined forces, Zhuxiang knew that it would be a huge problem for him. He might not be a match for them. Nangong Shinjan grinned and said, "Haha, Zhuxiang, I came here today to kill you and avenge myself, and I'll destroy your Ascension sect as well. Only then will I be able to vent my anger." Zhuxiang unleashed his aura and stood in front of the divine ship. He said, "Let's see if you have the ability to do so." Nangong Shinjan grinned. His smile was cold and disdainful. He took a step forward, and the energy in his body exploded. He said, "Let's attack together." The other 3 nodded and followed closely behind Nangong Shinjan. The 4 of them split into 4 directions and attacked together. Zhuxiang did not want to be outdone. He put his palms together and quickly formed a seal. Then he separated his palms and rapidly changed as he punched out a series of fist seals. Every fist mark was filled with a golden light that was hard to look at directly, and they shot out in all directions. Bang, bang, bang. Zhuxiang immediately engaged in a fierce battle with Nangong Shinjan and the other 3. The aftermath of their battle was extremely terrifying. Like a tidal wave, it formed a terrifying energy ripple in the sky above the Sky Dragon Mountain range. It spread out in all directions as if it wanted to crush the entire mountain range. The people in the Ascension sect were all shivering under the influence of the frightening energy ripples. There were even some people who were unable to withstand it. They prostrated themselves on the ground and lost consciousness. Zhuxiang noticed the current situation of the Ascension sect members, and his expression changed slightly. He suddenly erupted with even more powerful energy and smashed his fist out. Countless fist prints spread out densely, and with Zhu Ziyang as the center, they quickly rotated. Moreover, there are all sorts of strange noises coming from the fist prints, and they spread out wantonly. Nangong Xinjiang and the other three did not expect Zhu Ziyang to suddenly unleash such a powerful attack. They were caught off guard and were forced back several thousand meters. Zhu Ziyang grunted as a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, he did not bother to wipe it off as he rushed into the depths of the Sky Dragon mountain range. He knew that if he continued to fight here, the entire Ascension sect would be destroyed. This was his foundation and the foundation of countless Ascension sect ancestors. Nangong Xinjiang and the other three naturally knew what Zhu Ziyang was thinking. Nangong Xinjiang said to Nangong Haogan, "Kill all the people of the Ascension sect. Leave no one alive." After that, Nangong Xinjiang and the other three ancestors quickly turned into 4 black shadows and chased into the depths of the Sky Dragon mountain range. Nangong Haogan and the other 3 family heads looked at each other. They did not expect Nangong Xinjiang to give such a cold-blooded order. Originally, they planned to leave the people of the Ascension sect alive. However, since Nangong Xinjiang said so, they could only do as he said. Li Yuanfeng quickly said, "Master Nangong, I'm no longer a member of the Ascension sect. This order has nothing to do with us." Nangong Haogan looked deeply at Li Yuanfeng and smiled. "Brother Li, don't worry. You've already sided with us and are our friend. Indeed, you have nothing to do with the Ascension sect. We won't attack our allies. However, Ancestor Nangong has already given the order to kill everyone from the Ascension sect. Since you're our ally, then help us kill the people of the Ascension sect." Li Yuanfeng's eyes narrowed as he hesitated. After all, he was once the sect leader of the Ascension sect. He was already guilty of betraying the Ascension sect and siding with the 4 great families. However, Nangong Haogan was asking him to kill people from the same sect. Li Yuanfeng was indeed hesitant. "If Brother Li cares about our old friendship, then I won't force you. We'll do it ourselves." Nangong Haogan grinned, but was interrupted by Li Yuanfeng before he could finish. "Brother Nangong, you must be joking. Why would I force you? Didn't I say that I'm now an ally of the 4 great families? I have nothing to do with the Ascension sect. Anyone that the 4 great families want to kill is my enemy." Li Yuanfeng regained his composure. Nangong Haogan laughed heartily. He patted Li Yuanfeng's shoulder and said, "Brother Li, you didn't disappoint me. Then, follow me to attack the Ascension sect." With that, Nangong Haogan turned to the cultivator army of the Nangong family and said, "Cultivator army of the Nangong family, get ready. Begin the attack on the Ascension sect. Remember, don't leave anyone alive. Kill them all. Cultivator army of the Murong family, listen to my order. Cultivator army of the Beichan family, listen to my order. Cultivator army of the Dongfang family, listen to my order." Under the orders of the 4 great families, the cultivator army of the 4 great families launched an all-out attack on the Ascension sect. "Everyone, the 4 great families have given the order to kill. Even if we surrender, we will still die. Since we're going to die either way, I'd rather die in a glorious battle. I'm sure all of you feel the same way. For the sake of the Ascension sect, let's face death with equanimity. Charge." Elder Yuchi took a deep breath and said a few impassioned words. Then, she charged out of the Ascension sect's mountain gate with her blue divine sword in hand. She was like a celestial flying from the heavens. The cultivator army of the Ascension sect was instantly roused by Elder Yuchi's words. Their eyes turned red, and they disregarded their own lives as they charged out of the Ascension sect and resisted with all their might. The remaining elders and upper echelons that remained in the Ascension sect were encouraged as well. They no longer retreated, and instead faced the calamity of life and death. The sounds of battle shook the heavens and the earth. Blood splattered in the air. Li Yuanfeng looked at Elder Yuchi, who was charging at the front. He took a step forward and slammed his right palm on Elder Yuchi's body. Elder Yuchi's expression changed slightly. She raised her divine sword to block the attack. Unfortunately, the difference between Elder Yuchi and Li Yuanfeng was too great. Her aqua-blue divine sword was sent flying, and she vomited blood from the impact of this attack. She was sent flying and heavily crashed into the ground. Just as Li Yuanfeng was about to charge forward and give Elder Yuchi the final blow, Murong Dingshan stopped him. Lord Murong. Li Yuanfeng looked at Murong Dingshan in confusion. Murong Dingshan smiled. This woman has the spiritual water root, after all. Capture her alive and let me deal with her. Chapter 3785. The four aristocratic families' allied army clashed fiercely with the Ascension sect's cultivator army. Battle cries soared into the sky and filled the entire Ascension sect, and even the entire Sky Dragon Mountain range. Unfortunately, the difference between the two sides was too great. The Ascension sect's cultivator army was completely suppressed, and the Ascension sect's higher-ups were killed by Li Yuanfeng one by one. The Ascension sect's cultivator army lost their will to fight in a short period of time. The casualties started to increase, and the battle started to become one-sided. Elder Yuchi was imprisoned on the deck of the divine ship. She looked at the Ascension sect's cultivator army being killed and injured. Her eyes were bloodshot and filled with rage. However, she was helpless. She was too weak and couldn't resist the four aristocratic families' allied army. I heard from Li Yuanfeng that you have a disciple who also has the spiritual water root. Where is she now? Murong Dingshan came to Elder Yuchi's side and lifted her by the collar. He sneered. Elder Yuchi looked at Murong Dingshan coldly and said, I don't know. Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Murong Dingshan wasn't angry. He smiled and said, It's fine if you don't tell me. After we destroy the Ascension sect, we will naturally find your disciple. The Ascension sect is like a turtle in a jar for us four aristocratic families. No one can escape. Elder Yuchi sighed in her heart. How could she not see the situation clearly? The only thing she could do now was to silently pray that Lu Miaojin would be safe and sound. In the depths of the Ascension sect, in the Waterdrop Peak, Lu Miaojin saw terrifying battle cries and waves of terrifying battle energy coming from the Ascension sect's mountain gate. Her pretty face turned ghastly pale, and her delicate body was trembling. Apothecary Lu held her hand and said in a deep voice, Miaojin, don't worry. Elder Yuchi is very powerful. She won't be defeated so easily. Don't forget what Elder Yuchi told us before she left. You're the hope of the Ascension sect. You cannot die here. The Ascension sect is now in a life and death situation. You must shoulder the heavy responsibility of revitalizing the Ascension sect in the future. Let's go quickly. As he spoke, Apothecary Lu pulled Lu Miaojin and walked towards the depths of the Waterdrop Peak. Elder Yuchi had once told them that there was a secret passage in the Waterdrop Peak that led to the outside world of the Ascension sect. As long as they followed the secret passage, they would be able to leave the Ascension sect. Why is there a fork in the tunnel? Which fork should we take? After Lu Miaojin and Alchemist, Lu entered the secret passageway. They soon came to a fork in the road. They stopped in their tracks, their eyes filled with uncertainty. The two of them hesitated for a moment before choosing the passage on the right. After about an incense stick's worth of time, they saw the white light at the end of the passageway. Thus, they quickly walked out of the passageway. A glaring light shone on them, and the two couldn't help but squint their eyes. After their eyes adjusted, they were finally able to clearly see the entirety of the place they were in. This is the Heavenly Pit. Lu Miaojin looked at the huge pit in front of her and muttered in a low voice. Her eyes were filled with disappointment. Lu Miaojin also noticed that there was a small pit not far from the Heavenly Pit that was surrounded by purple energy. It looked rather eerie. Looks like we've taken the wrong path. It should be another fork in the road. It's the right one. Miaojin, let's go back and take another fork in the road. Apothecary Lu sighed softly. He pulled Lu Miaojin's right hand, intending to re-enter the passageway. However, Lu Miaoxin's expression changed drastically. She exerted force with her right hand and flung Apothecary Lu away. Then, the two of them instantly separated. Boom! In that instant, the sound of something breaking through the air surged over. A series of terrifying explosions sounded in the air and landed where the two of them were. It was a heavy greatsword. The instant the greatsword landed on the ground, an earth-shattering sound rang out. Then, the ground exploded. A ring-shaped shock wave spread out, causing Lu Miaoxin and Apothecary Lu to stumble backward. A foot landed on the greatsword's hilt. It was a young man with a haughty expression. He looked at Lu Miaoxin from the corner of his eyes and grinned. I didn't think there'd be a fish that slipped through the net in the heavenly pit. Who are you? Lu Miaoxin looked at the young man warily. Ha! He's the Murong family's #1 genius, Murong Haoyin. A clear, malicious voice called out from the other side of the pit. Lu Miaoxin saw a coquettish woman in a long dress. She slowly walked over from the other side of the heavenly pit. Murong Haoyin stared coldly at the coquettish woman. Dawn Polaris, you want to stop me? Murong Haoyin. You think we don't know what you're planning? Elder Yuchi's disciple is this woman. She's also a spiritual water root. Your master Murong has already captured Elder Yuchi. That's enough. You should also give me this Lu Miaoxin. A tall and sturdy young man walked out from the other side of the heavenly pit. He was clad in black armor and had a resolute face. His whole body exuded a masculine aura. Murong Haoyin and Dawn looked at the tall and sturdy young man with serious expressions. They called out in unison. Dongfang Xiong. How interesting. 3 of the top geniuses of the 4 great families are here. Now we're only missing Nangong Wuji. Dawn chuckled. Nangong Wuji? I heard that when he went to the Ascension School last time, all 4 of his limbs were crippled. What right does a piece of trash like him have to be mentioned in the same breath as me? Dongfang Xiong strode over. Every step he took caused the ground to shake violently. Dongfang Xiong, you're overestimating yourself. Nangong Wuji is also at the middle stage of the nihility transformation. If even his limbs were crippled, I don't think you'd fare any better against him. Murong Haoyin sneered. Humph. The reason I followed the Dongfang Patriarch here is to see the disciple who crippled Nangong Wuji. I heard that guy's name is Zhuowen. He's the disciple of the Ascension School's ancestor, Zhu Ziang. Unfortunately, I searched all around the Ascension School and couldn't find any trace of that Zhuowen. Dongfang Xiong said with some displeasure. Here Dongfang Xiong looked at Murong Haoyin and Dawn. Do you have any clues about Zhuowen? I came here to kill him. To prove that I'm the best of the 4 great families' younger generation, I must kill this Zhuowen. Murong Haoyin sneered. I don't have any clues. However, killing Zhuowen doesn't necessarily prove that you're the best of the 4 great families' younger generation. Have you forgotten me and Dawn? Dongfang Xiong grinned. After I kill Zhuowen, I'll prove that I'm stronger than Nangong Wuji. Then I'll come looking for you too. When the time comes, I won't show you any mercy. Don't blame me if you're killed. Dongfang Xiong, you sure know how to talk big. Let's not talk about that Zhuowen first. I'm definitely going to get this Lu Miaoxin today. If any of you try to take her from me, don't blame me for being rude. Murong Haoyin said calmly. Dongfang Xiong sneered. He punched his fists together and said, Let's see how rude you're going to be. Murong Haoyin didn't say anything. He opened his right hand, and a burst of energy bound Lu Miaoxin. Pharmacist Lu was suppressed and ignored. Chapter 3786. Bang! Murong Haoyin kicked the ground with his right foot and shot forward like a bird. His speed was so fast that the air around him was blasted away. In the blink of an eye, Murong Haoyin was right in front of Dongfang Xiong. The great sword in his hand swung down with enough force to split the sea. Dongfang Xiong produced a pair of iron gauntlets and donned them. His hands were like weapons as he swung them forward. In an instant, the two of them were locked in a fierce battle. The shockwaves of their battle swept through the sinkhole. Dawn quietly walked over to Lu Miaoxin's side. I won't let you hurt my granddaughter. Master Lu fought back his fear and stepped in front of Lu Miaozhen. Grandpa, don't worry about me. Get out of here. Lu Miaozhen panicked. She knew these three wanted to capture her alive, so they wouldn't kill her right away. But Pharmacist Lu was different. He was a mere mortal with no value. Dawn wouldn't hesitate to make a move on him. Old man, you're just a mortal. How dare you stand in my way? Get out of here. Dawn snorted and waved her hand. Pharmacist Lu screamed as his body was ripped open. He fell to the ground, twitching and spasming. That one move had severely injured him, and he was on the verge of death. Grandpa, you'll die a horrible death. My grandpa is just a mortal. Why did you have to kill him? Lu Miaozhen cried. What does a mortal's life have to do with me? If I want to kill, I'll kill. Do you have any pity for an ant? That's ridiculous. Dawn sneered. She walked over to Lu Miaozhen and reached out with her right hand to pick her up. However, her expression immediately changed because her right leg was caught by a hand. Moreover, it was a hand covered in blood. Dawn looked down and saw Master Lu crawling toward her, covered in blood. His right hand had a death grip on Dawn's foot. Grandpa, no. Let go. She'll kill you. Lu Miaozhen cried and begged. Master Lu slowly lifted his head and looked at Lu Miaozhen as if he wanted to see her one last time. Miaozhen, your grandpa is useless. Every time you met with danger, I was unable to protect you. How could someone like me be qualified to be your grandfather? Alchemist Lu bitterly smiled. Damned mortal! How dare you touch my feet with your dirty hands? I'm going to kill you. Dawn was so angry that her whole body shook. She lifted her foot and sent the pharmacist flying through the air like a doll. Then Dawn lashed out with her foot. She didn't hold back. She used the power of a void god transformation. To a mortal like Apothecary Lu, this power was simply too vast. If he were to be kicked, Apothecary Lu would be reduced to ashes. No, don't. Lu Miaozhen let out a mournful cry. Her voice pierced through the clouds and filled the surroundings of the sinkhole. The moment this cry was heard, the small pit filled with purple energy in the sinkhole exploded with a loud bang. A vast and powerful purple ripple spread out in all directions like water waves. This purple ripple was too powerful. Wherever it passed, it caused the entire sinkhole to shake violently. Even space seemed to distort. Murong Haoyin and Dongfang Xiong, who were fighting, were the first to be affected by the purple ripples. They immediately stopped and resisted the purple ripples with great difficulty. They kept retreating until they were outside the range of the sinkhole. Dawn, who had been about to deliver a final kick to Apothecary Lu, also felt the terrible purple ripple. She pulled back her foot, picked up Lu Miaozhen, and fled the sinkhole. Only the dying Apothecary Lu remained. He lay silently on the ground. No, you have to get my grandpa out of there, too. He'll die if he stays there. Lu Miaozhen wailed and struggled to call out to Dawn. Unfortunately, Dawn didn't pay any attention to Lu Miaozhen's cries. Her voice was cold as ice. You're nothing but an ant. If you die, you die. You should be glad you have your spiritual water root. You're still useful, otherwise you wouldn't be alive right now. Bang, bang. At this moment, the purple ripples had completely filled the sinkhole, and in the sinkhole, there were continuous explosions. The purple energy was like a cloud of smoke. It filled the sinkhole, making it impossible to see what was going on inside. Dongfang Xiong and Murong Haoyin had stopped fighting long ago. They came to Dawn's side and watched with solemn eyes. What's going on? The sinkhole is exploding all of a sudden, and the energy is a little scary. Murong Haoyin looked down at the sinkhole and muttered to himself. Look, there's a figure in the sinkhole. Dongfang Xiong suddenly exclaimed. Dawn and Murong Haoyin couldn't help but look over. Indeed, there was a figure in the center of the sinkhole. What's more, it wasn't affected by the purple ripple. Step by step, it walked toward the edge of the sinkhole. Dawn's eyes were full of confusion. As far as she was concerned, the only person in the sinkhole was the mortal. However, in that powerful explosion, even she could have lost her life, let alone a mere mortal. What's more, Dawn was keenly aware that the figure was different from Pharmacist Lu. It was clearly someone else. This guy, he looks familiar. Is he Zhuowen? Morong Hoween narrowed his eyes. When the purple ripple began to fade, he was able to see the figure's face. He recognized him. Wasn't this the man he'd been looking for? Zhuowen? They had already learned about Zhuowen's appearance and aura from the news sent by Elder Ingyin and Nangong Haoga. That was why they were able to recognize him instantly after seeing him. Zhuowen's body was surrounded by purple ripples. Step by step, he walked toward the edge of the sinkhole. Soon he came to a stop beside Pharmacist Liu. Then he slowly knelt down. You're Zhuowen? Zhuowen, the Ascension School is in danger. You have to run. Pharmacist Liu was on his deathbed. His aura was growing weaker. Zhuowen silently grasped Pharmacist Liu's right hand. He poured his divine power into the man's body, but it was useless. Alchemist Liu's life force had already been damaged, and there was nothing he could do to reverse the situation. The only reason he'd been able to hold on until now was because of his indomitable will. Pharmacist Liu, tell me, who did this to you? Zhuowen spoke slowly. His voice was calm, but his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Pharmacist Liu shook his head. Zhuowen, my death is not to be regretted, but there is one thing I have to ask of you. Please save my granddaughter Lu Miaozhen. Don't let her fall into the hands of the houses. If she does, her fate will be miserable. I beg you. I beg you. Pharmacist Liu's grip on Zhuowen's hand suddenly loosened. It fell to the ground. Zhuowen silently looked at the old man in front of him. At this moment, his eyes began to turn red. In his last moments, Pharmacist Liu didn't care about his own life. He cared about his granddaughter, Lu Miaozhen. It was a love that went beyond life and death. Chapter 3787. You're Zhuowen, the one who crippled Nangong Wuji, aren't you? I've been looking for you in the Ascension School for so long, but I couldn't find you. So you were hiding in the sinkhole. You really made me look for you. Dongfang Xiong licked his lips as his eyes revealed a bloodthirsty red. His fighting spirit soared to the heavens, and he was filled with excitement. Who killed Pharmacist Liu? Zhuowen looked at Dongfang Xiong and asked in a cold voice. Dongfang Xiong looked at Pharmacist Liu's body and grinned. If you fight me and beat me, I'll tell you who killed this mortal. Then get down here and die, Zhuowen said calmly. Dongfang Xiong's pupils shrank. His face darkened, and he looked at Zhuowen. What did you say? I told you to get down here and die. Didn't you hear me? Zhuowen said impatiently. Dongfang Xiong was silent for a moment. Then he laughed. Good. You've really pissed me off. Today I'm going to kill you. With that, Dongfang Xiong stomped his feet and shot out like a rocket. The metal gloves on his hands emitted a dazzling and strange light. Dongfang Xiong gathered all the strength in his body and concentrated it in his hands. He punched out, and the air was torn and distorted. In the blink of an eye, Dongfang Xiong's figure appeared in front of Zhuowen. His fists were as quick as meteors, and the glow of his fists was as intense as the stars. They filled the entire space and erupted like meteors streaking across the horizon. Murong Hoween and Dawn's eyelids twitched. They recognized Dongfang Xiong's move. It was Dongfang Xiong's strongest move, the meteor punch. Even they would be severely injured if they were to face such a terrifying Abhijna. Then they saw Zhuowen reach out with his right hand and make a grasping motion. A strange purple ripple spread out from the center of his right palm. Then, Dongfang Xiong's countless fist lights were completely annihilated by the purple ripples. Dongfang Xiong's pupils constricted as he revealed a look of disbelief. His strongest divine ability was actually received so easily. Moreover, looking at Zhuowen's appearance, it was simply played down as if it was not strenuous at all. Was the gap between them really that big? Just as Dongfang Xiong was lost in thought, Zhuowen's indifferent gaze fell on Dongfang Xiong. Zhuowen's right palm changed direction and landed lightly on Dongfang Xiong's chest. Puchi! Dongfang Xiong's chest suddenly caved in, while the former spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backwards, smashing into the ground. He flew for a long distance on the ground before finally smashing into a rock wall, barely stopping his body. What? Dongfang Xiong was defeated? That's too fast. Murong Haoyin and Dawn were stunned. When they learned that Nangong Wuji had been crippled by Zhuowen, they were stunned. They knew that Zhuowen was stronger than them, but they only thought that Zhuowen was only slightly stronger than them. It was not enough to have an overwhelming advantage over them. But now, they finally knew how big the gap between them and Zhuowen was. He'd injured Dongfang Xiong with a single blow. That kind of strength was beyond the mid-void god stage. Now you've lost. Tell me, who killed pharmacist Liu? Zhuowen walked in front of Dongfang Xiong, lifted him up, and asked indifferently. Dongfang Xiong laughed bitterly. He lost miserably, not even able to withstand a single blow. It was Dawn, and Miaojin is in Dawn's hands. Dongfang Xiong forced himself to point in Dawn's direction. Bastard! Dawn's face fell. She didn't even think about it. She used her agility to flee. Zhuowen grunted and tossed Dongfang Xiong aside. His feet moved like lightning, and in the blink of an eye he was on Dawn's heels. His movement divine ability was a combination of many other movement divine abilities. It was not something a hollow god transformation divine ability could compare to. Zhuowen's fist slammed into Dawn's shoulder. Dawn screamed as she was sent tumbling through the air. However, she was very smart. The moment she flew backward, she threw Lu Miaojin in the opposite direction to create an opportunity to escape. Zhuowen smirked. He pointed the finger of his right hand at the center of his forehead and sent out a beam of soul energy. After slashing at Dawn, he chased after Lu Miaojin. By the time he caught Lu Miaojin, he'd sent his soul force into Dawn's soul, obliterating it completely. Ever since Zhuowen had begun practicing the ancient sword visualization art, the power of his soul had increased exponentially. Now his soul was at the peak of the fourth ascension. It wasn't something a mid-void god like Dawn could compare with. This guy, is he a monster? Murong Haoyin's face was filled with terror. He screamed and began to flee toward the Ascension School. He knew that was where the four houses were fighting. The patriarchs were there as well. If he could get there, then he'd be saved. Unfortunately for him, Zhuowen wasn't going to give him that chance. He sent out 3 beams of soul energy. They tore through the air, carrying with them terrifying power. They tore through space and sank into Murong Haoyin's body. Murong Haoyin let out a blood-curdling scream before collapsing to the ground. There was no sign of life. His divine soul was completely destroyed by the divine soul sword intent, and he was deader than dead. This guy, he's too scary. I have to play dead. When Dongfang Xiong saw what Zhuowen had done, he was so frightened that he immediately dropped to the ground and played dead. His whole body was covered in cold sweat, and he couldn't help but tremble. He thought of himself as a battle maniac. He loved to challenge the strong, but that didn't mean he liked to throw his life away. Zhuowen wasn't just a little bit stronger than him. He was much, much stronger. Faced with someone he knew he had no chance of winning, Dongfang Xiong had no choice but to lie low. He didn't dare act rashly. Big brother Zhua, my grandfather, how is he? Hurry up and save him. Lu Miaojin was already sobbing. She didn't even notice that Zhuowen had killed Dawn and Murong Haoyin with a wave of his hand. She was lost in her own grief. Zhuowen sighed. He carried Lu Miaojin over to pharmacist Lu's body. Miaojin, I'm sorry. I couldn't save your grandfather. Zhuowen watched silently as Lu Miaojin sobbed over pharmacist Lu's body. Anger burned in his heart. He didn't know what was going on, but if Murong Haoyin, Dawn, Dongfang Xiong, and the others were here, then it was likely that the combined forces of the 4 great houses had arrived before Zhejiang. What's more, his psychic sense picked up on the sounds of battle near the Ascension School gates. Countless cultivators were engaged in a fierce battle. Blood rained down from the sky. He saw the cultivator armies of the 4 great clans and the cultivator armies of the Ascension sect. What's more, the Ascension School's forces were in a precarious situation. They could be wiped out at any moment. Lu Miaojin stopped crying. She put pharmacist Lu's body into her spirit ring. She took Zhuowen's hand and led him toward the secret passage in the Heaven's Pit. Big brother Zhua, the Ascension School has reached a critical juncture. I'm afraid, after today our name will be erased from the G province. We are the hope of the Ascension School. We can't die here. We have to escape. When we rise again, we'll make a mess of the 4 great houses. Chapter 3788. What about Senior Zhu? Zhuowen asked the black-robed old man. He didn't sense Zhu Xiang's aura within the Ascension sect's territory. Ancestor lured away the 4 great clans' ancestors and went deep into the Sky Dragon mountain range. His whereabouts are unknown now, Lu Miaozhen said bitterly. Zhuowen pulled Lu Miaozhen and shook his head. Miaozhen, I don't plan to leave the Ascension sect. Brother Zhua, there's no hope for the Ascension sect anymore. You'll only lose your life if you stay. With your talent, your future achievements will be extraordinary. You'll definitely be able to avenge the Ascension sect. Lu Miaozhen said anxiously. Zhuowen smiled. Miaozhen, don't worry. I'm not staying to die. I'm staying to save the Ascension sect. As he spoke, Zhuowen let go of Lu Miaozhen's hand and flew out of the crater, heading toward the Ascension sect's mountain gate. In these 3 months, he had been in a deep sleep under the influence of the purple gold toad. Ever since the purple gold toad devoured the ice bracelet, it had indeed completely evolved into a rank 3 astral soldier. However, the purple gold toad had also fallen into a deep sleep because of this, and it had also affected Zhuowen. The purple gold toad had just woken up, and it had also affected Zhuowen. As for Zhuowen, during these 3 months of slumber, he had been constantly absorbing the mysterious energy emitted by the purple gold toad. His cultivation base had also been imperceptibly increasing. His current cultivation was already at the pinnacle of the heaven-trampling transformation stage. Because he cultivated the primordial technique, his combat strength was actually not weaker than a pinnacle of the void god transformation stage. Coupled with the 2 great abilities he had, the primordial soldier mantra and the primordial movement technique, he could definitely fight against an early stage 5 elements transformation stage expert. His strength had already reached an extremely terrifying level. What was even rarer was that Zhuowen had even mastered the rank 3 astral soldier, the purple gold toad. With such a terrifying weapon, there was probably no one in the G prefecture who could be a match for Zhuowen. This was also the reason why Zhuowen was confident that he could save the Ascension sect. Lu Miaozhen stared blankly at the distant Zhuowen. By the time she reacted, Zhuowen was already far away. She sighed softly and chased after him. She couldn't abandon Zhuowen and leave by herself. When Zhuowen arrived at the entrance of the Ascension sect, the alliance of the 4 clans had already surrounded the remaining cultivators of the Ascension sect, forcing them to the edge of a cliff. Don't leave a single one alive. Kill them all. Nangong Haogan stood on the deck of the divine ship and calmly gave out orders. Suddenly, the alliance army of the 4 clans began to charge towards the cultivator army of the Ascension sect. They planned to force the remaining troops of the Ascension sect off the cliff. Whoosh! A blood spear pierced through the air and landed among the allied forces. Instantly, countless spear shadows swept out like a hurricane, scattering in all directions like the sharpest blade in the world. Under the terrifying spear shadows of the blood spear, the alliance army of the 4 clans was scattered. A large number of cultivators in the center were torn into pieces. The alliance army, whose morale was high and who wanted to annihilate the Ascension sect in one fell swoop, was disrupted by the sudden appearance of the blood spear, revealing a huge flaw. At the same time, when the blood spear pierced through the center of the alliance army, another sonic boom came. A long spear with terrifying flames pierced through the air and smashed into the center of the alliance army again. Countless spear shadows wrapped in flames soared into the sky and spread in all directions, filling the entire space. Wherever the spear passed, the cultivators of the alliance army were devoured and burned into ashes. They could not be more dead. The blood spear and the divine spear were both heaven-breaking level 4 divine artifacts. They were extremely powerful and were not something that these cultivators with low cultivation could withstand. The two-rank, four-heaven-crushing divine artifacts stood in front of the Alliance army. The Alliance army that was about to charge up all stopped in their tracks. They looked at the blood spear and half-moon divine fire spear that were stabbed into the ground side by side. Isn't that the sky-raising blood spear of the Murong family? Nangon Haogon, Dongfang Yin, and Beichen Yuan recognized the blood spear at a glance. They looked at the gloomy Murong Dingshun with a strange expression. This kid is Zhuowen. Other than the sky-raising blood spear, he actually has another heaven-breaking level 4 divine artifact. Judging from the aura of the divine spear, it's a heaven-breaking level 4 divine artifact. It's definitely much more powerful than the sky-raising blood spear. Nangon Haogon's attention immediately fell on Zhuowen. His eyes were burning with passion. The rest of the clan leaders had the same expression. In their eyes, Zhuowen was no different from a fat sheep. The cultivators of the Ascension sect who had just escaped death also noticed Zhuowen. Many of them also recognized Zhuowen. Zhuowen had done earth-shattering things on the life and death ring twice. He had long become a celebrity in the Ascension sect, especially after Zhuowen killed 2 experts, Elder Ing Yin and Nangon Haoga. His reputation became even more prominent. He had reached a stage where everyone in the Ascension sect knew about him. It's senior brother Zhua. He's here to save us. The cultivators of the Ascension sect were very excited. However, many of them were still gloomy. They knew how terrifying the 4 aristocratic families were. In their opinion, although Zhuowen was strong, he was still too weak to fight against the 4 aristocratic families. You must be the clan leaders of the 4 aristocratic families. Zhuowen looked at the 4 figures on the deck of the divine ship and said calmly, Zhuowen, you've really given me quite a few surprises. Now, the Ascension sect is at the end of the road. You're no match for us. Hand over everything you have, and we might consider letting you live. Nangon Haogon said calmly. Zhuowen looked at Nangon Haogon coldly. He grinned and said, You don't have the right to talk to me like that. Now, you should be the one begging me to spare your lives. I'll give you a chance. If the 4 of you kneel in front of the Ascension sect and kowtow to apologize and kill yourselves, I'll consider letting you go. I won't destroy the foundations of the 4 aristocratic families. The 4 clan leaders were dumbfounded. They thought that Zhuowen was joking. Who did he think he was? Not only did he want them to kneel and apologize, but he also wanted them to kill themselves. He even said that he would consider letting the aristocratic families behind them go. Zhuowen, who do you think you are? How dare you speak so arrogantly in front of us? It just so happens that you took away the heavenly blood spear that originally belonged to the Murong family. Today I, Murong Dingshin, will reluctantly kill you and take back the heavenly blood spear. Remember this clearly. I, Murong Dingshin, will personally kill you. It's your supreme honor. Obediently accept your death. Murong Dingshin's face was gloomy. He took the initiative to attack. The heavenly blood spear was the divine weapon of the Murong family. Now that it was being used to deal with the allied army, he, as the clan leader, felt ashamed. He had to kill Zhuowen with his own hands to wash away the humiliation. However, the moment Murong Dingshin attacked, he realized that something was wrong. That was because Zhuowen had disappeared in front of him. He couldn't see where Zhuowen was. Other than that, Murong Haoyin was not spared either. Only I pretended to be dead in time and managed to escape. Nangon Haogon and the other 2 were stunned. This was especially true for Beichen Yuan. His eyes were bloodshot. With a roar, he jumped off the ship and charged toward Zhuowen. Zhuowen, you bastard! As soon as Bowen leapt off the ship, he summoned his spirit. His empty spirit was a gigantic beast covered in frost armor. It appeared in the void behind him. Beichen Yuan pulled out an ice spear. This ice spear was no ordinary weapon. It was a Tier 4 Heaven Breaker divine weapon. Zhuowen and Murong Dingshin, who had been confronting each other, noticed Bowen's crazed state. "Brother Polaris, this boy is my prey. Are you going to interfere in my business?" Murong Dingshin shouted. He wanted to deal with Zhuan alone. He didn't want Bowen to interfere. "Murong Dingshin, this boy killed my family's genius, Dawn. He also killed your Murong Hoween. Now you want to fight him alone? I have to hand it to you. Today I must kill this boy with my own hands. If you stand in my way, you are my enemy." Beichen Yuan roared. He did not slow down. Instead, he sped up. He passed Murong Dingshin, and the ice spear in his hand was aimed at Zhua Wen's vitals. "What? This bastard!" Murong Dingshin was shocked at first. Then he was furious. He raised his crimson saber and attacked Zhuowen. He and Bowen formed a triangle. Zhuowen's gaze was calm as his hands made a grabbing motion in the air. Not far away, the blood spear and half-moon divine fire spear that were stabbed into the ground flew back into Zhuowen's hands. Clang! Clang! Zhuowen waved his hands and collided with Murong Dingshin and Bowen. The sound of metal clashing resounded between heaven and earth. In that instant, a blazing golden light surged between Zhuowen's eyebrows. Within the golden light was the teal lotus fire. "Sword slash!" Zhuowen shouted. A terrifying spiritual soul sword essence burst out from between his eyebrows. Two spiritual soul sword essences wrapped around the teal lotus fire. They pierced through the air and slammed into the two men's foreheads. Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin reacted quickly. They immediately summoned their virtual gods and stood in front of them to block the attack. The two empty gods blocked the spiritual soul sword essences, but part of their bodies was burned by the teal lotus fire. Zhuowen shook his hands, and Bowen and Murong Dingshin retreated. Then, Zhuowen released his spiritual soul sword essences again. This time, he released 18 spiritual soul sword essences at once. Then, Zhuowen charged forward with the crimson spear and blazing half-moon spear. Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin looked serious. They had been suppressed in that brief exchange of blows. How could the Zhuowen be so monstrous? Clang! Clang! The three of them once again engaged in a fierce battle. Zhuowen's body was surrounded by 18 soul sword intents, surging with blazing green lotus flames that covered the horizon and burned the heavens. Crack! 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 After a few rounds, Bowen and Murong Dingshin's empty gods could not withstand the combined attack of the 18 spiritual soul sword essences and collapsed. Zhuowen took advantage of this opportunity to brandish the crimson spear and blazing half-moon spear. He also performed his most powerful superpower, the primordial soldier skill. Mysterious shadows of weapons shot out from the darkness. They silently slammed into Bowen and Murong Dingshin's bodies. Poof! Bowen and Murong Dingshin did not realize that they had been hit. Their bodies were pierced by the shadows of weapons. Blood splattered, and they were about to be torn apart. You actually hid such a move. Chapter 3790. Die! Zhuowen's eyes were cold. The weapons that were stabbed into Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin's bodies exploded. Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin screamed and exploded into a mist of blood. Their divine souls did not manage to escape in time. They were completely annihilated by the power of the Grand Mist Soldier Sutra. As for Zhuowen, after killing Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin, he casually collected their rank 4 Heaven Breaker divine artifacts. At this moment, the entire Ascension sect was extremely quiet. It was so quiet that it was terrifying. Everyone's eyes were fixed on a young man bathed in the rain of blood. They could not move their eyes away for a long time. F***, this guy. He even killed Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin. Nangong Haogan and Dongfang, Yin could no longer remain calm on the divine ship. Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin were experts at the same level as them. If they were defeated by Zhuowen so easily, what else could they do? Dongfang Xiong fell to the ground again. His body was trembling violently. Only then did he realize that Zhuowen had not used his full strength when fighting against him. So this guy's true strength? I'm so *king despicable. I actually wanted to challenge such a freak. Dongfang Xiong slapped himself. He decided that he would never challenge anyone again. If by any chance he encountered a freak like Zhuowen again, then how could he still have a way out? Let's retreat quickly. This guy is not someone we can deal with. Inform the ancestor quickly. We need reinforcements here. Nangong Haogan made a prompt decision. He drove the divine ship away from the Ascension sect and sent a message to the ancestor who was deep in the Sky Dragon Mountain range. Unfortunately, no matter how fast Nangong Haogan was, he could not be faster than Zhuowen. Zhuowen's movement technique was comparable to a 5 elements transformation expert's speed. Nangong Haogan was still far behind. Zhuowen flew above the divine ship. The half-moon divine fire spear in his hand flew out and blasted into the divine ship. With a loud boom, the divine ship suddenly exploded. Countless flames surged out and rushed into the sky like a pillar of fire that connected the heavens and the earth. Dongfang Yin carried Dongfang Xiong and quickly left the divine ship, while Nangong Haogan followed closely behind. Zhuowen, we will withdraw our troops immediately. Furthermore, we are willing to compensate your Ascension sect for all your losses, as long as you let us go. Nangong Haogan quickly said. Zhuowen hovered above the exploding ship and silently looked down at Nangong Haogan and Dongfang Yin. He said, "Very well. If you two are sincere, then do as I said. Kneel in front of the Ascension Gate and sincerely kowtow to apologize. Then commit suicide. I will consider sparing your allied forces and the aristocratic families behind them." Dongfang Yin and Nangong Haogan were both shocked and furious at the same time. These conditions were too harsh. They actually wanted them to commit suicide in front of the Ascension sect. Just when Dongfang Yin wanted to shout, she was stopped by Nangong Haogan. "Brother Dongfang, we must first stabilize this kid. I have already sent a message to the ancestor, and he has already replied. They have already captured Zhuziang and are rushing towards the Ascension sect. We only need to stall for time. Now is not the time to fall out with Zhuowen. This will not do us any good." Nangong Haogan secretly transmitted a message to Dongfang Yin. Dongfang Yin's eyes lit up after hearing this. With the ancestor around, Zhuowen would not be able to do anything no matter how strong he was. "All right, I promise you." Nangong Haogan agreed without hesitation. Zhuowen was expressionless. He pointed at the Ascension sect's mountain gate and said coldly, "Then kneel there. Don't dawdle." Although Nangong Haogan and the other two were unwilling, they had no choice but to comply with the situation. The three of them knelt in front of the Ascension sect's mountain gate and prostrated themselves on the ground. The allied forces of the 4 aristocratic families had already retreated from the Ascension sect. The blood spear and half-moon divine fire spear that Zhuowen had thrown out earlier were extremely powerful. They had almost wiped out 1/10 of their forces. Moreover, they had witnessed how Zhuowen had killed Beichen Yuan and Murong Dingshin, the 2 patriarch-level experts. They did not dare to attack the Ascension sect at all. Therefore, they had retreated from the Ascension sect. If it were not for Nangong Haogan and Dongfang Yin, they would have fled in all directions instead of staying near the Ascension sect. Patriarch Nangong and Patriarch Dongfang are really kneeling in front of the Ascension sect's mountain gate. They are really going to apologize. The allied forces of the 4 aristocratic families were in an uproar when they saw Dongfang Yin and Nangong Haogan's actions. This also deepened their fear of Zhuowen. Not only did he kill Murong Dingshin and Beichen Yuan, but he also forced Nangong Haogan and Dongfang Yin to kneel and apologize. Nangong Haogan, Dongfang Yin, and Dongfang Xiong bowed 3 times and kowtowed 9 times to the Ascension sect. They were extremely humble as they apologized. However, those with discerning eyes could see that the 3 of them were moving very slowly. Every time they bowed and kowtowed 9 times, they were deliberately slowing down their movements. Zhuowen sneered. He grabbed the air with his right hand, and Dongfang Xiong was immediately caught his hand. "What are you doing?" Dongfang Yin immediately stood up and glared at Zhuowen. Are you stalling for time and waiting for your ancestor to return? Zhuowen said coldly. Dongfang Yan's expression became unnatural. However, he quickly regained his composure and said, No, we are sincerely apologizing. Since you are sincerely apologizing, there is no need for you to kowtow anymore. You can just kill yourself in front of the mountain gate now. Zhuowen said calmly. Dongfang Yin and Nangong Haogan were stunned. They did not expect Zhuowen to be so decisive. Seeing that the two of them were hesitating, Zhuowen's gaze turned cold. He threw Dongfang Xiong into the air with his right hand and slashed out a soul sword essence into Dongfang Xiong's body. Dongfang Xiong screamed in agony. His soul was destroyed, and his body fell at the foot of the mountain. No, Xiong, how dare you kill Xiong? Dongfang Xiong's eyes turned red. Without any hesitation, he summoned his empty spirit and charged at Zhuowen. Zhuowen looked at Dongfang Xiong, who was getting closer and closer. He said calmly, When you came to destroy the Ascension Sect, you should have been prepared to be destroyed by the Ascension Sect. There is no such thing as you killing me, and I'm not killing you in this world. After saying that, Zhuowen attacked again. When the four families were about to destroy the Ascension Sect, Zhuowen had already sentenced all of them to death. He did not intend to let anyone go. Nangong Haogan kept retreating. Suddenly, he took out the communication jade charm from his waist. After reading the news, he was overjoyed. The ancestor had arrived at the Ascension Sect. While Nangong Haogan was reading the news from the communication jade charm, Zhuowen and Dongfang Yan were fighting. After a few rounds, Dongfang Yan's empty spirit was destroyed. He was then held by Zhuowen in a half-dead state. Nangong Haogan's heart skipped a beat. Just when he was about to run away, he immediately sensed four majestic auras rushing toward him. In the blink of an eye, the four auras appeared in the sky above them. Ancestor. Nangong Haogan lifted his head and saw the four figures. They were the ancestors of the four families who were chasing after Zuzia. Chapter 3791. The four patriarchs were in a sorry state, and they looked exhausted. Although they had defeated Zhuziang, they had paid a great price. When Dongfang Tianhao saw Zhuowen and Dongfang Yin, who was being held in Zhuowen's hand, he flew into a rage and said, Little bastard, let go of Dongfang Yin quickly. Dongfang Yin was the dignified patriarch of the Dongfang family, but now he was being held in someone's hand like trash. It was too embarrassing for the Dongfang family. Zhuowen looked coldly at Dongfang Tianhao and said, Let go of Senior Zhu, and I will let go of Dongfang Yin. Dongfang Tianhao was stunned, but then he sneered disdainfully and said, Who do you think you are? How dare you make conditions in front of us? If you know what's good for you, let go of Dongfang Yin quickly, and I will leave you with a complete corpse. Otherwise, you will die without a complete corpse. Zhuowen's eyes narrowed into a dangerous arc. He did not speak again, but his right hand suddenly exerted force, and the surging broken divine power invaded Dongfang Yan's body. Dongfang Yin naturally felt this terrifying energy. He widened his eyes in horror and screamed. Unfortunately, Dongfang Yan's screams did not last long. His entire body was blown into pieces by the terrifying energy and exploded into a bloody mist. Even his soul was not spared. Dongfang Tianhao was stunned, and the other three old ancestors were also stunned. They never thought that this child would kill someone in front of them, and it was the patriarch of an aristocratic family. You dare to kill the patriarch of the Dongfang family in front of me? Dongfang Tianhao said in disbelief. Since you don't want to let him go, then Dongfang Yin has lost his value. There is no use in keeping him. Isn't it natural for me to kill him? Zhuowen said calmly. Dongfang Tianhao laughed in anger, and his eyes surged with a strong, killing intent. Aunt, you have angered me. I want you to die a horrible death. Dongfang Tianhao took a step forward, and his entire body disappeared like a ghost. Then, Zhuowen felt a strong sense of oppression in the space around him. Looking carefully, the surrounding space faintly appeared with the patterns of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. It was this mysterious power that was controlling the space around Zhuowen. Is this the power of the 5 elements? Zhuowen's expression turned solemn. He knew that the power of the 5 elements was a power unique to those who had reached the 5 elements transformation stage. This kind of power was based on the broken god power and was fused with the power of the 5 elements. Its nature was much higher than ordinary broken god power. However, Zhuowen was not afraid. He cultivated the primordial grand mist technique, and the shattered god force he cultivated was far superior to ordinary shattered god force. Although he was only at the pinnacle of the ascension transformation stage, the nature of his shattered divine power was comparable to the power of the 5 elements. Boom! Zhuowen did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. In the blink of an eye, he was fighting with Dongfang Tianhao. The intense aftermath of the battle spread out in a ring shape, spreading in all directions. The more Dongfang Tianhao fought, the more shocked he became. No matter how he looked at it, this kid's cultivation aura was only at the peak of the Heaven Ascension transformation stage. However, not only was this fellow able to block his attacks, he was even able to counterattack. It was as if they were evenly matched. How is that possible? I am at the early stage of the 5 elements transformation stage, and this ant is only at the Heaven Ascension transformation stage. With such a big gap between us, how can he block my attacks? Dongfang Tianhao could not figure out. His attacks became more and more violent, and it looked like he was going to completely annihilate Zhuowen. However, Zhuowen was not at a disadvantage. Whether it was divine powers or movement techniques, he was not weaker than Dongfang Tianhao. In fact, he was even stronger. What's going on? If I'm not mistaken, this guy's clothes are only the outer sect disciple's clothes. Since when did the outer sect disciple of Ascension Transformation Stage become so powerful? Murong Howard frowned slightly. He was very surprised to see that Zhuowen was evenly matched with Dongfang Tianhao. Not only him, but the 2 ancestors, Nangong Xinjian and Beichen Bingxin, were also very uneasy. Ancestor, you can't underestimate this kid. He killed Murong Dingshun, Dongfang Yin, and Beichen Yuan in a row. He's no weaker than an early stage 5 elements transformation. And he's Zhuowen, the one who took our Nangong and Murong family's 2nd grade astral weapons. Nangong Haogan quickly reminded them. His eyes were full of hatred. This kid made him kneel before the gates of Ascension School and kowtow 3 times and 9 times. He even told him to kill himself. He would never forget this humiliation. All he wanted was to see Zhuowen die at the hands of the 4 ancestors. What? Murong Dingshen is also dead. This little bastard. Murong Howard was shocked and angry at the same time. He roared angrily and rushed up to attack Zhuowen together with Dongfang Tianhao, regardless of his identity. Beichen Bingxin was quite rational, but when she heard that Beichen Yuan and Dawn had died at Zhuowen's hands, she couldn't hold back her anger. Despicable. You're already bullying the weak, and now you're attacking Zhuowen? Have you no shame? Although Zhu Ziyang was extremely weak, he could still use his divine sense. Therefore, he could clearly see everything that was happening around him. When he saw Dongfang Tianhao, Murong Howard, and Beichen Bingxin attacking Zhuowen, he was so angry he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Nangong Xinjian harumphed coldly. That little bastard brought it upon himself. If he hadn't provoked the Nangong and Murong families and killed so many people from the 4 great families, we wouldn't have had to deal with him so seriously. Zhu Ziyang, Ascension School is hopeless. You should surrender. With your strength, you're qualified to be my servant, a member of the Nangong family. Don't worry. As long as you submit to me, I won't treat you unfairly. Zhu Ziyang sneered. Nangong Xinjian, you lost to me. What right do you have to make me submit to you? If the 4 of you hadn't joined forces, if Beichen Bingxin and Dongfang Tianhao hadn't used their 2nd rank astral weapons, you wouldn't have been able to take me down. Nangong Shinjan punched Zhu Xiang's abdomen and coldly said, "If it weren't for the fact that the Murong family and I left our rank 2 astral soldiers in your Ascension sect, we would have captured you a long time ago." Oomph. But I have all the time in the world to make you submit. Watch how your Ascension school is destroyed. When Murong Howren and Beichun Bingxin joined the fray, Zhuowen began to feel the strain. Even with his incredible agility, he couldn't avoid some of the attacks. Chapter 3792. Aunt, you're dead for sure. How dare you kill a member of the Murong family? I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Murong Howren's voice was filled with anger as his attacks became more and more terrifying. Not only Murong Howren, but Beichun Bingxin and Dongfang Tianhao were also in a frenzy. They had also noticed that the experts that their families had brought over had basically been killed by Zhuowen. This was a great loss. They had no idea how much time and resources it would take to nurture such an expert. Now, they only had one thought, and that was to completely destroy the young man in front of them. Although Zhuowen was in a precarious situation, he was very calm. He used the primordial body technique to constantly dodge the combined attacks of the three people. At the same time, Zhuowen diverted part of his attention to Nangong Shinjan, who was not far away. To be more precise, his attention should be on Zhu Xiang, who was injured by Nangong Shinjan. It's over, it's over. No matter how powerful Senior Brother Zhua is, he can't possibly be a match for the ancestors of the four great families. Our Ascension sect's fate has come to an end. This is the end. Lu Miaojin stood in the square of the Ascension sect and silently watched the battle in the sky. A sense of helplessness and disappointment welled up in her heart. The other disciples of the Ascension sect had also fallen into deep despair. The ancestors had been defeated, Li Yuanfeng had betrayed them, and even the last straw, Zhuowen, had been besieged. They were in danger. Now, who could save the Ascension sect? Suddenly, an earth-shattering light illuminated the Ascension sect. Everyone's eyes involuntarily fell on the source of the light. The source of the light came from Zhuowen, who was being besieged by Dongfang Tianhao. The light became more and more intense. At first, it was golden, then it was dyed purple. Finally, the light turned purple-gold. It illuminated the world and dared to make the sun and moon lose their brilliance. In the center of the blazing purple-gold light was a toad that was alive and kicking. It was a purple-gold toad. It appeared on Zhuowen's shoulder. With a light leap, the surrounding space seemed to have frozen. Dongfang Tianhao, Murong Howren, and Beichun Bingxin, who had been besieging Zhuowen, felt as if time had stopped. Their attacks came to a complete halt. The purple-gold toad lightly landed on Dongfang Tianhao's head. Then, countless frost appeared on Dongfang Tianhao's head. In the end, he became an ice sculpture and fell from the air onto the ground. Clang! The ice sculpture fell to the ground and completely shattered, turning into countless fine powder. There was nothing left. The purple-gold toad leaped into the air again and landed on Murong Howren's head. Murong Howren's entire body was trembling. He was trying his best to break free, but to no avail. A mysterious and terrifying power enveloped his entire body, causing him to freeze on the spot, unable to move at all. Boom! The purple-gold toad landed behind Murong Howren's head. Countless chi blades swept over and wrapped around Murong Howren. Murong Howren didn't even have time to scream before the countless chi blades cut him into pieces. Even though Murong Howren was a 5-elements transformation expert and had extremely powerful self-healing abilities. But now, in front of the purple gold toad, his self-healing abilities were completely useless. The wounds caused by the chi blades couldn't be healed until the blood ran dry. The purple gold toad leaped again and landed on Beichun Bingxin's head. At this moment, Beichun Bingxin's entire body ignited with terrifying flames, burning her to ashes. When the purple gold toad landed back on Zhuowen's shoulder, Zhuan's entire body trembled, and a trace of blood seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Ever since the purple gold toad became a rank 3 astral weapon, this was the first time Zhuan had used it against an enemy. However, the power was far beyond his expectations. The 3 early stage, 5 elements transformation stage cultivators were dealt with cleanly and cleanly. The only downside was that the purple gold toad consumed a terrifying amount of shattered divine power. The purple gold toad had only attacked 3 times, but Zhuan was already unable to withstand the purple gold toad's terrifying consumption and was heavily injured. After Dongfang Tianhao, Murong Haoran, and Beichen Bingxin died one after another, the Ascension sect was completely silent. Everyone looked as if they'd seen a ghost and were filled with disbelief. Even Nangong Xinjiang and Zhuziang were dumbstruck. Zhuan suppressed the discomfort in his body and looked at Nangong Xinjiang. He said coldly, "Now I'll give you 2 choices. 1. Release Senior Zhu and scram. 2. Die." Nangong Xinjiang's pupil shrank. He was truly terrified. He immediately abandoned Zhu Ziyang and fled into the distance. The moment Nangong Xinjiang fled, the 4 great families' allied armies scattered like monkeys when the tree falls. They all frantically fled out of the Ascension sect. What are you standing around for? How did the cultivator army beat you up before? Beat them back. Zhuan shouted at the Ascension sect's cultivator army. This was the best opportunity to beat them while they were down. Zhuan didn't want to miss this opportunity. Zhuan's words were like an imperial edict. The Ascension sect's cultivator army didn't dare to disobey. They all readied themselves and chased after the fleeing allied army. Zhuan's eyes were sharp. He saw Li Yuanfeng mixed in with the allied army, waiting for an opportunity to escape. Li Yuanfeng, you traitor. You want to escape? Do you think it's that easy? Zhuan took out the half-moon god fire spear and used the last of his strength to throw it at Li Yuanfeng. The half-moon god fire spear carried the last of Zhuan's strength. It pierced through the void and arrived behind Li Yuanfeng in the blink of an eye. The half-moon god fire spear was too fast. Li Yuanfeng only had time to react before the spear pierced through his back and nailed him to the ground. Pucci! Li Yuanfeng spat out a mouthful of blood. His body twitched, and he was on the verge of death. As for Zhuan, after throwing out the half-moon god fire spear, he exhausted the last of his strength and fainted. Before he fainted, he faintly felt someone hugging him and smelling an extremely pleasant fragrance. He was very familiar with this fragrance. It was Lu Miaozhen's. "Senior Zhua, are you all right?" Lu Miaozhen looked at the unconscious Zhuan in her arms, and her face was filled with anxiety. However, after discovering that Zhuan was still breathing, she heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. After arranging for Zhuan to be taken care of by another disciple, she went to the other side and rescued Elder Yuqi, who was still restrained. Elder Yuqi was the only surviving higher-up of the Ascension sect. The rest of the higher-ups were killed by the experts of the 4 great clans. Therefore, Elder Yuqi immediately took control of the situation. After the Ascension sect's cultivator army was defeated, she promptly gathered the cultivator army and began to deal with the injured and corpses. The crisp sound of footsteps rang out. Li Yuanfeng raised his head with difficulty and saw a face as cold as ice. "Yuqi, junior sister, I was wrong. Save me. I will never make the same mistake again. I beg you, save me." Li Yuanfeng saw Elder Yuqi's face. He coughed out blood and begged Elder Yuqi to save him. Chapter 3793. When Zhuan woke up, he realized that he was lying in an elegant room. "Senior brother Zhua, you're awake." Lu Miaozhen, who was standing beside the bed, was pleasantly surprised when she saw Zhuan wake up. "Miaozhen, where am I?" Zhuan held his forehead and sat up with difficulty. This is Miaozhen's room on Waterdrop Peak. It is also the only mountain in Ascension sect that is still intact. A gentle voice came from the other side of the room. Zhuan turned around and saw Elder Yuqi sitting in front of the table in the middle of the room. She was looking at Zhuowen. When she saw Zhuowen looking at her, she stood up and went to Zhuowen. Then, she knelt down on one knee and said sincerely, "Zhuowen, it's all thanks to you that Ascension Sect was saved. You are the benefactor of the Ascension Sect. Our Ascension Sect will never dare to forget your kindness." Lu Miaojin followed Elder Yuqi and knelt down. Zhuowen was stunned. He waved his hand and smiled bitterly. "Elder Yuqi, please don't make me feel bad. Speaking of which, I'm also a member of Ascension Sect. Ascension Sect is in a life and death situation. How can I sit back and do nothing? All right, how are Senior Zhu and the others in Ascension Sect?" Elder Yuqi had a sorrowful look on her face. She recounted the casualties of the Ascension Sect in detail. After listening to her, Zhuowen was shocked. According to Elder Yuqi, all the higher-ups in Ascension Sect who were elders and above had been annihilated in the battle. The only one who was still alive was Elder Yuqi. Elder Yuqi was now the temporary leader of Ascension Sect. She was in charge of the Ascension Sect that was still in chaos. As for Zhu Ziyang, his injuries were too severe. He went to the stone room in the crater to recuperate. "I was unconscious for half a month." Zhuowen's pupils shrank. He did not expect that he would be unconscious for so long. "Yes, you used too much of your broken divine power. Your injuries were too severe, and you fell into a deep coma," Elder Yuqi said. "By the way, what happened to Nangong Xinjiang?" Zhuowen asked. He remembered that after he had used the violet gold toad, he had instantly killed Murong Haoren, Beichen Bingxin, and Dongfang Tianhao. Nangong Xinjiang had been scared out of his wits. After releasing Zhu Ziyang, he had fled. Nangong Xinjiang's whereabouts are unknown. It is said that after he left the Ascension Sect, he did not return to the Nangong family. Now, his whereabouts are unknown. I believe that Nangong Xinjiang has either gone into hiding or left the Ji Prefecture. Elder Yuqi analyzed. Zhuowen nodded. He had used the purple gold toad to kill 3 early-stage, 5-element transformation stage cultivators, completely frightening Nangong Xinjiang. Nangong Xinjiang was probably afraid that he would personally go to the Nangong family to find him, so he decided not to return. Zhuowen inwardly rejoiced. If Nangong Xinjiang hadn't been afraid and continued to attack, Zhuowen would have been an arrow at the end of its flight, and the situation would have been completely reversed. Nangong Xinjiang would be the final winner. Unfortunately, Nangong Xinjiang was afraid and lost the best opportunity. Elder Yuqi continued. "That's right, the ancestor told me that after you wake up, you should go to his cave residence to see him. He has something important to tell you." Hearing this, Zhuowen nodded. He had already guessed what Zhu Ziyang wanted to tell him. After adjusting his state of mind, Zhuowen bid farewell to Lu Miaojin and Elder Yuqi and headed towards the Heaven Pit. When Zhuowen arrived at the stone room in the Heaven Pit, he saw Zhu Ziyang sitting cross-legged on a futon in the middle of the room, as if waiting for his arrival. "Senior Zhu," Zhuowen cupped his hands and said in a deep voice. Zhu Ziyang slowly opened his eyes. Then, under Zhuowen's astonished gaze, he knelt on the ground and solemnly bowed 3 times to Zhuowen. "Senior Zhu..." Zhuowen hurriedly went forward to help Zhu Ziyang up and said in surprise, "Zhuowen, it's all thanks to you that the Ascension Sect was able to resolve this crisis. If it wasn't for you, the Ascension Sect would have ceased to exist," Zhu Ziyang said solemnly. Zhuowen smiled and said, "After all, I am a member of the Ascension Sect in name. I can't just stand by and watch." Zhu Ziyang looked at Zhuowen with a gratified expression. Then, he took out an envelope from his spiritual ring and passed it to Zhuowen. "Zhuowen, with your talent and strength, you won't have much development if you continue to stay in the Ji province. I should go to a bigger stage and achieve a stronger cultivation." Zhu Ziyang said. "This is..." Zhuowen took the envelope and said in confusion, "Have you heard of the Hong martial sect in the Wukong province?" Zhu Ziyang suddenly asked. Zhuowen nodded. During his time in the Ascension sect, he had learned about the Hushu region. The Wukong province was 1 level above the Ji province and was extremely vast. Above the province were the 10 main regions. The 10 main regions and Huxley's territory formed the entire Hshu region. I have heard of the Hong martial sect. It is said to be one of the strongest forces in the Wukong province. It is a real big sect. Zhuan replied. Zhu Ziyang smiled and pointed at the envelope in Zhuan's hand. He said, "This envelope is a recommendation letter from the Hong martial sect. I am old friends with Elder Gu Tianxiao of the Hong martial sect. I plan to recommend you to the Hong martial sect to be Gu Tianxiao's disciple." Zhuan, what do you think? After saying that, Zhu Ziyang looked at Zhuan cautiously. Zhuan was a little hesitant. After entering the 100 domains, Zhuan would spend time looking for Moyan Wushang's traces other than cultivating. Zhuan knew very well that if he wanted to find clues about Moyan Wushang in the 100 domains, he had to enter a place like the main region. The current Ji prefecture governor was still too young for him. Regarding Moyan Wushang's whereabouts, he had asked the Ascension sect's spirit master to search for clues. Unfortunately, the Ascension sect's spirit master's level wasn't high. The scope of his search wasn't large. He simply couldn't find any clues regarding Moyan Wushang. He knew that he needed a top-notch soul master of Ascension sect to find clues about Moyan Wushang. A top-notch soul master of Ascension sect definitely did not exist in the Ji prefecture. They might not even exist in the Wukong province. Only the 10 main regions and Huxley had such a top-notch soul master of Ascension sect that could search a large area. Zhuan actually wanted to go to the main region more than the province. This was because the soul master of Ascension sect would probably not be able to find traces of Moyan Wushang. Zhu Ziyang saw Zhuan's hesitation. His gaze was a little dim as he said, "Zhuan, if you feel that it is not suitable, you can directly reject it. The decision is in your hands. You don't have to force yourself." Zhuan cupped his fists and said apologetically, "Senior Zhu, to be honest, I have been looking for traces of a friend all these years. However, the 100 domains are too big. Looking for a person is like looking for a needle in a haystack." After he finished reading all the alchemy and formation books in the Ascension sect, his alchemy and formation books both broke through to the heaven-breaking level 4 standard. However, in the process of improving his alchemy and formation books, Zhuan also discovered some flaws and limitations of the Tai Word Stone. There was a limit to this integration and improvement. Ever since his primordial soldier mantra and primordial movement technique reached the heaven-breaking level 6, they couldn't continue to improve even if he integrated other divine abilities. In the process of improving his alchemy and formation books, he also vaguely felt this. As long as his alchemy and formation books continued to improve and reach the heaven-breaking level 6 standard, he probably wouldn't be able to use this cheating method to improve anymore. Zhuan knew that all this was because the primordial stone he obtained was incomplete. Just like how he cultivated the primordial technique, he could only cultivate it to the heaven-breaking level 6 standard. If he wanted to break through to a higher level, he would have to find other primordial stones and obtain the complete primordial technique. While Zhuan was researching and cultivating in the Ascension sect day after day, the other 4 sects and forces under the Ji prefecture's jurisdiction were all in an uproar. The news of the defeat of the 4 great clans' allied army, as well as the deaths of the patriarchs and patriarchs of the 4 great clans, had already spread throughout the Ji prefecture. The Ascension sect became the most powerful sect in the eyes of all the cultivators in the Ji prefecture. This news also alarmed the other 4 sects of the 5 great clans. The 4 sects even held a joint meeting about this. They were all anxious because the Ascension sect had asked them for help when the 4 great clans' allied army had attacked them. However, they had all rejected it. They originally thought that the Ascension sect was finished. They didn't expect the Ascension sect to counterattack. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.